स्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनं हृद्यन्तस्तु अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाध्य सर्वलौकिक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदंतो तितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते मद एक बंधु मद संगेन मद गुरुन् मद महाधन मद निश्चारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधु तादाइन अतिनीचोचताकर हा नामुंच कदाचिन् मां प्रेम न हृत्कंठयो स्फुरः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, so Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for joining. So we are in chapter number 21 of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we have come to the stage, so a quick review of this chapter is we have seen in this chapter, this chapter started off with certain questions that Vidura asked Maitreya. And then particular his question is, he wants to know about the lineage of Swayambhu Manu. And in that, particularly he asked, tell me about Devahuti and Kardama. Right, that's the first daughter he's asking about. And then he starts off by asking about questions about Kardamuni. And then Maitreya Rishi starts speaking, and he actually says that how Kardamuni was ordered by Brahmaji, great progeny. And then he said, okay, I will do it. But then he actually went and performed 10,000 years. 10,000? 1,000? What is it? 10,000, yeah, 10,000 years of austerity he performed. And then he actually got darshan of the Supreme Personality of God, and the Lord appeared right in front of him. And then we read a little bit of a description of how the Lord looked, and the Lord was sitting on Garuda, all right? Yeah, sitting on Garuda. And then Kardamuni, he actually offers prayers to the Lord, and very, very interesting prayers, where he actually, first of all, he says that seeing you, O Lord, is a perfection of my eyes. And actually, anything like any senses, when they're coming directly in contact with Krishna, that is the perfection of that sense. And then he actually makes the point that actually only foolish people, they actually approach you to fulfill their material desires. And you can give the shelter of your lotus feet. Foolish people, they turn to Krishna, like, Prabhupada. Yesterday I was making this point that how that old lady was carrying this whole bunch of sticks on her head. And then somehow she tripped and the sticks fell down. And then Krishna appeared in front of her. She said, "Oh, Krishna, please help." Krishna came. And she said, "Okay, Krishna, you're here. Please put the sticks back on my head." Right? So it's like so foolish. You can ask Krishna for anything. And you are asking for material desires. So Kardamuni actually makes a point that only foolish people approach you to fulfill your material desires. But then he actually says, actually, even I am foolish. Because you have appeared right in front of me, but I'm asking for something material. And what does he ask? He actually says that I want a suitable wife. I'm desiring to marry a girl of like disposition who can actually fulfill all desires in material life, in married life, right? So, and then he actually makes a point, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that if you know that, you shouldn't ask Krishna for material desire, then why are you asking? And he says that all living entities are finally bound by the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Brahmaji, what he says, he's just following the instructions of the Lord. So I have the order of Brahmaji and I am bound by that order. And Brahmaji has asked me to create progeny, and hence I'm approaching you to actually give me a good wife so I can create progeny. Right? So after making that point, he actually says, but so this is his class of people that he's asking, Krishna for material desire. But on the other hand, he actually says, but there are those people, right? They're completely liberated, and they actually get nectar, right? They are completely absorbed in Krishna Katha, which is Piyusha and Siddhu, right? Which is actually Piyusha means sweet and Siddhu means intoxicating. Right? They just get relish in this. They are not concerned with anything else. They are lokanugatan. They have given up all worldly affairs, and all they do is they take the shelter of your lotus feet by hearing Krishna Katha, which is Piyusha and Siddhu. Right? Okay. And then time does not affect those devotees. Right? And yeah, and then further he actually says, "Let your causeless mercy be upon us." Like it's very interesting. He makes a point that you do not desire to create this material world. Right? The Lord does not desire, He does not want to create it, but still you do it out of your mercy. Right? So similarly, normally I should not ask for material desire, but I am asking and you fulfill the desire. Though you do not want to fulfill a devotee's material desire, you please show your mercy and fulfill my material desires. Actually, we discussed this point that actually Kardamuni was very elevated. And what he is asking is the way he is asking is actually his expression of humility. Being very humble is actually asking. Kardamani could have just said, okay, first words that I'm seeing you, is perfection of my eyes. And then directly could have said, Brahma has given me this order and I need a wife to fulfill the order. So please give me a wife. He could have just said in that way. But now he's actually elaborating and saying that, oh, I'm asking for material desire. I'm also foolish. So that's just an expression of humility. And we see, and the more humble the devotee is, the more advanced he is actually, right? So the expression of humility is actually the greatness of Kardamuni. Okay. And then after that, we started reading how the Lord, he spoke to Kardamuni. And what did he say? Did he say that, okay, you're asking for material desire? You're stupid. You're stupid. Right? Did he say that? No, no. He actually said that I already know. I already know what was your material desire, and I have actually made all the arrangements for it. We see in Bhagavatam, we see Lord Shri Krishna, in different aspects, but here we see Krishna as a matchmaker. Right? Krishna is playing the role of a marriage matchmaker. He's coming and saying, I have already arranged. Right? You want a good wife? I have seen who is a suitable wife for you. And then he actually says that anyone who actually worships Krishna, he's never frustrated. Never frustrated. So even little bit worship of Krishna that never goes in vain. That is always our eternal benefit. Right? So right, so Krishna is making this point. And then he says that Swayambhuva Manu, He's actually, he rules the earth with the 7 oceans, and he's known for his dharma, righteous activities. And then the day after tomorrow, so I think we read up to 26, did we? Yeah. 26, the day after tomorrow, O Brahmana, that celebrated emperor, who's expert in religious activities, right, will come here with his queen Shatarupa, wishing to see you. Right. And then 27, he actually says, he has a grown-up daughter whose eyes are black. She's ready for marriage. She has good character. So we are saying different qualities. He's telling that I have arranged, I'm a matchmaker. I made the match. And then see the qualities of a girl. She's so beautiful. She has black eyes. Second, she's of the ready age to get married, right? Third, she has good character, good qualities, right? And she is also searching for a husband, right? So everything is perfect in this union, right? So, my dear sir, her parents will come to see you, who are exactly suitable for her, just to deliver their daughter as your wife. And then 28, further he says, that princess, O holy sage, will be just the type you have been thinking of in your heart for all these long years. She'll soon be yours and will serve you to your heart's content. Right? So he's actually making the point that you have been. He's one way telling Kardama that don't doubt my skill of matchmaking. I am such a good matchmaker that she'll be actually perfect for you. You have been thinking, I know what is the desire in your heart. While doing all the meditation, you have been thinking of a particular desire, and I know that desire in your heart, and she will be like perfect for you, right? And she'll serve you to your heart's content. Right? And Prabhupada in the purport, he said, only by God's grace can one get a nice wife just as he desires, right? Right. And oh yeah, this purport, I know, did we discuss this purport? Some points here, maybe not. Okay, so I'll just go through a few points in this purport, right? Okay, so Kamam Asu Bhajaista. She will soon be yours and will serve you to your Kaman. Kaman means heart's desires. And then in the purport, Prabhupada actually makes a point. Lord awards all benedictions according to the heart's desire of the devotee. Right? Kardamuni, like even though, like I was thinking of this point, even though Kardamuni had a desire to get married, right? So that point is clear. But what type of girl he needs to actually make it perfect? Maybe he, I'm just thinking, like, this is not like Acharya meant, but, I'm making the point that maybe he did not know exactly what kind of girl would be the best suitable for her. Would that be a daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, emperor, or would that be a daughter of a Brahmana? That he did not know. But here, he's actually trusting the Lord's decision in fulfilling his desire. So Prabhupada actually makes this point. And he says, that we have to be, we discuss this point that we have to be honest with what material desires we have, right? We actually say, okay, Krishna, I know I should approach you only for pure devotion service, but these anarthas are there, right? I have this desire to fulfill material desires. And then if we actually every time approach Krishna, right? If we pray to Krishna, every transaction of a material existence, everything will be done nicely and just suitable to heart's desire. Right? So hence, in all circumstances, we must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and depend completely on his decision. I mean, isn't this contradictory? Like one point is, we say, don't approach Krishna for material desire. Approach only for pure devotion service. Right? Second point, and that first point, if you want to further elaborate, we see here how Krishna tells Kardamuni that I know all your desires. So hence I've already made the arrangement. So one way we can say, yes, Krishna knows all the desires. So I shouldn't ask for any of these desires because Krishna knows them and I will just ask for pure devotion service. Right? Isn't that right? On the other hand, here Prabhupada is making the point, and he's saying that if we pray to Lord for every transaction of our material existence, then everything will be done nicely and just suitable to our heart's desire. So is Prabhupada encouraging us to pray for material desires, saying that if you pray for your material desire, turn to Krishna. He will do it perfectly because he knows what's best for us. So what is it, right? So again, the point comes is the mood of honesty. Right? We know we should pray for only pure devotion service, but in our honesty, we understand these things are there, Krishna. I'm working on these anarthas, but they are there, right? And we discussed this, like 3 kinds of desires we can actually say. Desires which are desires that we have, maybe for a big house, opulence, and so on, which may not be contradictory to our bhakti. Right? Someone may have a desire of some new car or something like that, material. I mean, like one way, like why do you need all that in Krishna service? But instead the desire is there, Krishna may fulfill it, but we use that in Krishna service then. Right? We say, Krishna, I want to use that in your service. Second are the desires which are certainly detrimental to our spiritual life. We come to Krishna and say, Krishna, I have so much lust in my heart, take it away. This is not favorable to bhakti, take it away. Right? Third are certain desires that based on our position in our devotional service, we may need certain suitable conditions for us to exist in, to actually continue in our bhakti. Like what? Like good health, stable household, things like that, right? If everything is shaking, then maybe our bhakti is not strong enough that we can actually continue our bhakti even though all the challenges come. See, finally, our goal is what? Ahetuki apratiyata. That's our goal. But we may not be there. Unmotivated, uninterrupted. Uninterrupted in the sense that no material obstacle should actually be an hindrance to our pure devotion. That should be a stage. Right? But we are not there. So at that point, there may be certain things. So those things we may pray to Krishna, but our dependence is that Krishna, this is all coming from you. We have faith. Krishna is our maintainer. Krishna is our protector. So under that umbrella, we actually take shelter of those desires. Okay. So fulfillment of desires, you entrust it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, depend on the choice of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, receive benedictions in greater opulence than we desire. Right? So Prabhupada is making the point that if we depend on Krishna, then Krishna will actually, we may receive benedictions in greater opulence than we desire. Right? So one should not be tempted by these statements and understand our goal is pure devotional service, and these are only for those desires which we have right now, but we know that eventually they should get purified. Okay. Next point, Prabhupada says, he also talks of this intercaste marriage. Kardamuni was actually from sage, right, Brahmana, right, and then Devahuti is daughter of Kshatriya. So Brahmana and Kshatriya. So intercaste. Right? So Prabhupada actually makes a point. Actually, this is all described. That is anilom, anulom, pratilom marriages. Right? So if the husband is from a higher caste and if the wife is from a lower caste, then that is acceptable. In the sense that husband is Brahmana, wife is a Kshatriya, then that is acceptable. But the other way, it is pratilom. That is not acceptable. Now all those rules are not so much valid, but this is actually all fine. Okay, 29. Let's do Sanskrit.
Yata atma vritam viryam navadha prasavishyati virye tvadiye rishaya adhasyantyan jasatmanaha.
Translation: She will bring forth 9 daughters from the seed sown in her by you, and through the daughters you beget, the sages will duly beget children.
So further he's actually making the point that Atma Britam, right? And then Viryam means seed. The seeds that we will sow in her womb, by that Navadha means 9 daughters you'll get, Pravishyati will actually come, and all those 9 Rishaya will actually get married to rishis, and then Adhyansi Agyasa, and then you'll get more and more children. Right? Why is he making this point? Because Kardam Muni's finally his aspiration is to create progeny, right? So he's saying that, okay, 9 daughters, they'll get married to sages and then they'll have further children. Okay, 30.
Tvam cha samyak anushtaya nidesham ma ushattamaha mayi kirti krita shesha kriyarto mam prapatsyase.
With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, resigning to me the fruits of all your acts, you will finally attain to me.
So now he is further making this point. Tvam cha samyak anusthaya. So anusthaya means having carried out nidesha, my command. So he's saying having properly carried out my command. That means what? That this whole, what you said, Brahma's order is actually coming from me. This is actually my desire for you, that you create progeny. So if you, after you properly carry out this whole, all my command, then ushatamaha, then completely cleanse of all the anarthas. Tirthi krit. So Prabhupada elaborates on this. Tirthi krita ashesha kriya artha. Having resigned all the fruits of your actions unto me, then the good news is what? Mam prapasyasi. Where is another place in Bhagavatam where Krishna actually tells that, okay, you do this and then you'll come back to me. We read a similar statement. Anyone remembers? You can check this in the starting of the third canto when Lord is actually talking to Uddhav. You know, he actually says, you go, you speak to the sages of Badrik Ashram, and then you'll come back to me. Right? Come back to me. So here is actually saying, imagine this, like you're given a task. You do this and you get a guarantee. And then you'll go back home back to Godhead. Right? So now Bhadra Purnima we say, just anyone gets a Bhagavatam on this day of Bhadra Purnima, then he goes back home back to Godhead. This is Bhagavatam speaking, right? So a ticket is there, right? So here Krishna is giving the ticket. He's saying like, okay, you do this, but how do you do it? Follow my command. And then after you get completely cleansed by doing my instruction, giving all your fruits of your actions to me. So here Prabhupada elaborates. Now, why does it say Tirthi? Tirtha we know as a holy place, but it says Tirthi Kritashesha Kriya Artha. So Prabhupada is actually making the point that when any Kriya, when any activity is actually done for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where everything is offered to Krishna, that place becomes a Tirtha. Right? And hence it says Tirthi, right? So, and then further Prabhupada makes the point, to sanctify all the activities and the results of our activities, we offer everything to Krishna. Right? So this is actually a very nice formula that, many of us like, okay, work, we spend like majority of our day in working. But if you are changing a consciousness, when you get the result, we offer the result to Krishna. And also we are saying, Krishna, I'm working so that I can pay my bills and so that I can actually engage in bhakti nicely. You just dedicate your work, dedicate your results, then even your office place can become what? Tirtha. Every day you're going to work, you can say, my cabin here, where I'm writing so-and-so code, it becomes a Tirtha. Right? Because I'm doing this for Krishna and the result I'm giving to Krishna. That's the Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also goes, Yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat juhosi dadati, yat tapasi konte, tat kurusa mad arpanam. You do everything. Whatever you do it for Krishna. Therefore, all activities must be done for the pleasure of Krishna. That is, all activities must be performed in Krishna consciousness. All right, okay. And Prabhupada in the purport also quotes this. Which is this word? Maharaj Yudhishthira welcome. Prabhupada says Narad Muni. In the purport, Prabhupada says, Maharaj Yudhishthira welcome Narad Muni. Wherever you are present, that place becomes sanctified because the Lord himself is always seated in your heart. Which is this verse? We know the verse not with Narad Muni, but with Vidura. Which is that verse?
Tirtha Tirthani Bhutani.
Bhavadvida Bhagavatas Tirthi Bhuta Swayam Vibhu Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Swantastena Gathabrita. 113:10. The Prabhupada quotes that verse. Okay. Next 31.
Pritpadhayam cha jiveshu datva cha bhayam atmavan mayatmanam saha jagat drakshasyatmani chapimam.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization. Giving assurance of safety to all, you will perceive your own self as well as all the universes in me and myself in you. Hare Krishna.
What is Bhagavad Gita 6:30? Sri Krishna Maharaj says that is his favorite verse of the Bhagavad Gita.
Madhyajima.
No. 6:30.
Oh. Madhyajima.
Yo mam pashyati sarvasya
Oh, yes.
sarvam cha mai pashyati
Pashyati, yes.
tasyaham na pranishyati sa cha me na pranishyati. Right? So 6:30, Krishna is actually making the point, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Right? So here, what is Krishna actually telling Kardamuni? He's saying, before coming to the point, he says, Kritva dayam jiveshu. So two things are given in this verse. One is showing compassion to all living entities, first point. And second point is abhayam, giving assurance of fearlessness to everyone. Right? Abhayam. Two things. Atmavan, then you will become Atmavan. That is one verse of Bhagavad Gita, which actually says, and then you become Atmavan. Anyone knows that verse? You can search it out. Atmavan. You will become self-realized. Atmanam saha jagatmai. You will perceive your own self and the entire universe in me, and cha apima, and myself in you. Right? You see all the universes in me and also myself in you. Now, if you know Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, can you think of what point he will actually say in relationship to this? You will see all universes in me. Means what?
The story of Yashoda seeing the universes in Krishna's mouth.
It's like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur does not miss an opportunity and say like, oh, you'll probably see all the universes in how Mother Yashoda saw, he's going to get that vision. But here, also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually elaborates and he makes a point. At present, you see by vision of the Shastras, the whole world along with yourself reside within me. Right? So now what you have vision is based on Shastras. Like by Shastras, we know that how the entire universe is actually coming out from whom? Which Vishnu? Karonodakshaya Vishnu. Right? So everything, all universes reside in Karonodakshaya Vishnu. By Shastra, we know, right? But then when you do all this, then you will directly realize this. Right? See, now our knowledge is theoretical, that how universes come from Karanakshaya, Vishnu, etc. But then you will realize this. You will, so basically Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, you will see that first Purusha with thousands of heads and thousands of universes in his holes of his body. That means you'll get darshan of Karanakshaya Vishnu, then you'll get darshan of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then you will directly see me in the heart as Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So you will get vision of all three, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Okay. Now, Prabhupada also elaborates on this point. The first point is showing compassion to all living entities. And that Prabhupada says, right. Okay. So, Prabhupada actually first makes this point. He says, the first step of self-realization. What is the name of the chapter of second canto, first chapter? Everyone quickly, awake, focus. Second canto, first chapter, what's the title?
The Lord in the heart. I'm just guessing.
That comes later, bro. That is 2.2 or 2.2. First is what? 2.1? First step in God.
First step, yeah.
Yes, thank you. And what is the focus of that chapter? 2.1? First step in God realization. What is the key point of that first step in God realization?
Hearing.
Like we must hear about Krishna. That's the best process, right? To hear and chant.
But why is that chapter title First step in God realization. See, first, what do we realize? And bhakti is the highest. And then he talks of bhakti in the initial few verses. But the essence, like the remaining, like I would say, like a majority of the chapter is focusing on something else. What is that? I mean, this we should know, right? So in 2.1, what did he actually focus on? He focuses on the Virat Rupa. And he says how the rivers are the veins of the Lord. The trees are the hairs of the body of the Lord. Right? And why I'm making this point? So Prabhupada actually says the first step in self-realization is we see the entire world as a manifestation of the Lord, the Virat Purusha. That is the first realization. Right? So we see the identity of the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So we say the entire Lord. Oh, his huge mountain is there. So huge mountain is an aspect of the Virat Purusha, and so on. Right? Now here we have two, personalists and impersonalists. Those who are impersonalists, they actually say that the Supreme Lord actually has become this universe. So hence, there is no separate existence of the Supreme Lord. That's the impersonalist conception. They say the same Lord has become this universe, the big ocean, the mountains. That is the Lord himself. Right? So hence, they actually accept the world as the Lord, and then they worship nature. And that's the concept of pantheism. Pantheism means they worship, oh, the sun is rising. Oh, the sun is a manifestation of the Lord. And they say, oh, this is the Lord. And they worship the sunrise. Right? But how does a personalist see the whole world? He sees the whole world as an energy of the Supreme Personality of God. Not directly the Lord himself, but as the energy of the Lord, as a property of the Lord. And hence he uses everything in the Lord's service. So that is the difference. Yes, we also see the world as manifestation of the Lord, but the difference is we say this is energy of the Lord, hence use it in the Lord's service. Sun and sunshine, we make a difference, but the impersonalists will not make a difference between sun and sunshine. Okay. That's first point. And then second point, Prabhupada says, person in Krishna consciousness, a devotee, is always compassionate. He tries to distribute knowledge of devotional service to everyone, and that should be done. Right? That should be done. So Prabhupada in the purpose is making the point that everyone should, a person in Krishna consciousness, is always compassionate. The mood of a devotee is compassion. And he should actually distribute this knowledge of devotional service to everyone, and that should be done. So Prabhupada is pointing out that for us, as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is our mood? Give Krishna to everyone. Give Krishna to everyone. Right? So hence, and then Prabhupada actually further, he quotes from this 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 45 to 48. Let me share my screen quickly. Okay. So this is Sri Havir speaking, and he basically says in this section, the most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, and consequently he sees everything in relationship to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. Isn't this what the Lord is actually telling Kardamuni? You will attain this stage. And this stage that Sri Havir is actually describing is the description of an Uttam Adhikari. Uttam Adhikari. So we know Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam, and Kanishta, right? So this is a description of an Uttam Adhikari. Now, next verse talks of a description of a Madhyam Adhikari. Ishware tad adhinayeshu balisheshu dusisya prema maitri kripapeksha ya karoti sa madhyama. An intermediate or second class devotee called Madhyama Adhikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 4 categories. He loves the Lord. He's sincere to the sincere friend of the devotees of the Lord. He shows mercy to the ignorant people who are innocent. And then those who are disutsu, those are envious, then he disregards them. That is the Uttam Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, right? And then the third verse is actually a description of a Kanishta Adhikari. So what is the mood of a Kanishta Adhikari? Acharyam eva hare पूजाम य श्रद्धया हिते न तद भक्तेषु चान्येषु सबक्त prakrita sudha. Prakrita means a materialistic devotee or a kanishta devotee. A devotee who faithfully engages in worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly to the other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialist devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. Now, why is Prabhupada quoting these three? First point he's actually saying is that Kardama, you will actually attain Uttamadhikari. Right? Because he's actually made the point how you see everything in me and me in everything, right? Uttamadhikari symptom. Now, Prabhupada is also making the point because here in this verse, actually he says, showing compassion to all living entities. And Prabhupada makes a point that as long as we are not compassionate to other living entities, we are a Kanishta devotee. I mean, no one else will actually make this point because our mood is that of giving Krishna to others. Our mood is compassion. Give Krishna Bhakti. It's the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's direct instruction to each one of us. Yare dekhe tare kahe Krishna upadesh. We have to speak of Krishna to everyone. So that mood of compassion to all living entities is actually, if one is not compassionate, then he is a prakrita bhakta. I mean, once you're not preaching, then they are not very advanced. Like Prabhupada is so, direct in that point. Right? Now, so that is one point that Prabhupada, one way of analyzing this. Another way that the Prabhupada is saying, showing compassion to all living entities refers to the aspect of Karda Muni as a Grahastha. Why? Because it's the duty of the Grahastha to actually feed other three varnas. Right? So that is showing compassion to all living entities. And then the aspect of giving assurance of safety to all or giving assurance of fearlessness to all is the duty of Kardamuni after he gives up Grahastha ashram and he takes renounced life. Right? And then Prabhupada makes a point that the duty of a sannyasi is to travel door to door. And what does he give to everyone? He actually gives them fearlessness. Abhay Charana. Abhay Charana, like how Prabhupada's name is Abhay Charana. Abhay Charnaravindare, right? So a sannyasi, he goes door to door. And what is the nature of the householders? Chinta aparimeyam cha. So much anxiety, so much fear. And the sannyasi goes door to door and he says, no, you take shelter of Krishna, everything will be fine. Krishna will take care of it. Ma suchaha, do not worry, right? That's how these sannyasis. So they are actually giving everyone an assurance of fearlessness. And Prabhupada makes the point, to award fearlessness to common man is the greatest act of charity. Is the greatest act of charity. The most charitable act is to give Krishna to others, to give fearlessness to others. Further, Prabhupada actually makes this point. It's very interesting that he makes this point. Any person, okay, we can think of like how many people this applies to. Any person who is a householder, but he's initiated by a sannyasi. Does that apply to any one of us? Any person who is a householder, but initiated by a sannyasi, then he further says, it is a duty to follow what sannyasis do, to fulfill that desire of sannyasi. So duty to spread Krishna consciousness at home, invite your neighbors, hold katha and kirtan, and then the householder should earn money and spend 50% of his income to spread Krishna consciousness. Imagine Prabhupada setting the standard of 50%. I mean, if I often think of this like 50%. Is that even possible? Okay, let's say 5%. Am I even doing 5% of income to Krishna? I mean, like if you think in terms of percentages of our income, for most devotees, it's probably like 1% or less. To give 5% means every month consider 5% to Krishna. I'm reducing by 10 times. Prabhupada is saying what? 50% to Krishna. At least that you can actually think about how Prabhupada is saying. Householder, we are earning money, we need to support the Krishna conscious movement. That's the main thing. Okay. And Prabhupada concludes the purport with a very nice point. He says, isn't the Lord unlimited? The Lord is unlimited, right? No doubt about it. Next, is the Lord's desire unlimited? Yeah. He wants to enjoy all kinds of rasa. Each one of us, we have a particular taste for Krishna. He wants to enjoy that. He has unlimited desire. He is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Every rasa he wants to taste. So he's unlimited. His desires are unlimited. And we, if we want to follow the Lord, then we have to assist the Lord in fulfilling his unlimited desires. That means what? There's unlimited opportunities for service. Right? So nicely Prabhupada said. Therefore, therefore, the service of a devotee is also unlimited. Therefore, there's unlimited competition between the Lord and the servitor, and hence there's unlimited oneness of interest. Is there any shortage of service to Krishna? If you are feeling any shortage, please come to us. The temple has an unlimited list of services for you to get involved with. Okay. Okay, so 31. So 32.
Sahaham swamshakalaya tvadviryena mahamune tava kshetre deva hutyam praneshye tattva samhitam.
Here, some more blissful news, right? He's saying all the good news that you're going to attain me, you're going to have 9 daughters, they are going to get married to sages, and then, showing compassion to all, you'll give fearlessness to everyone as a sannyasi, you'll perceive all universes to me. Everything's so auspicious for Kardama. And hence Prabhupada is making a point. Even material that if you turn to Krishna, Krishna will fulfill in such a perfect way. Okay. Let's see the translation.
Hare Krishna. O great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories.
Mahamune, O great sage, aham sa amsha ka. Aham sa amsa kalaya. My own amsha will actually take birth in Devahuti. That means what? Kardamuni worshipped the Lord to create progeny, but the Lord is reciprocating, saying that my own amsha, that means an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is going to appear in the womb of Devahuti. Imagine this. Like what else do you want in Grihastha Ashram if Krishna himself is appearing as your child? Right? The perfection of Grihastha Ashram. So he's saying, I shall manifest my own plenary portion by your semen, Tvat Virena, by your semen, and Tava Kshetre Dehahutam. In your Kshetra. Kshetra means field. In your field, Devahuti. In your field. So when you give the Virya to your wife, Devahuti, then I will myself manage in a plenary portion. And what will I do? Pranasya Tattva Samhita. This is the rest of the third canto. The rest of the third canto is what? Pranasya Tattva Samhitam. This Tattva that Kapila Muni explains to Devahuti is the rest of the third canto. So here Lord is saying that this Kapila was actually going to take birth. He's going to instruct his mother in this Tattva Samhita, which is actually the Sankhya philosophy. Right? So rest of the third canto is focused on this Sankhya philosophy. So Prabhupada makes a point in purport. So there are 2 Kapilas. We have heard this in often Prabhupada's lectures also, he makes a point. Whenever he refers to Kapila Dev, he says there are 2 Kapilas. One is the atheistic Kapila and one is the son of Devahuti Kapila. Right? Even if you have seen Prabhupada's book where he has one book on Kapila Dev, on the front cover itself, he says teachings of Lord Kapila, and then below what does he write? Son of Devahuti. Just to make the difference between this Kapila, son of Devahuti, versus the atheistic Kapila. So atheistic Kapila also taught Sankhya, but he thought of like all the material. Okay, you divide this material nature. Okay, earth, water, fire, ether, senses, mind, intelligence, false ego, and then it stops there. And he says, hence, everything is atheistic. No need of God, because everything can be divided into small parts. Everything is just a combination. Earth comes in water, fire, and you get this element. earth combined with air, you get this element. So everything is just a combination of this element. What is the need for God? That is the atheistic conclusion. But what is Kapila Dev's conclusion? Yes, he does all this analysis, but he says, okay, beyond all this, there must be life somewhere. I mean, the earth itself won't actually, work on its own. If there's a pile of dirt, nothing will happen until someone with life comes and, does something with it. So where is life in all that? Without life, there is no activity. But we see activity, hence there must be life. And that means there has to be Atma. Now, if you talk of Atma, then there has to be a source of Atma. Means there has to be Paramatma. Right? That means there is a Supreme Lord. And the source of all Paramatma is Krishna himself. So he brings it to a very devotional perspective of the Sankhya philosophy. So Prabhupada compares this atheistic, godless Sankhya philosophy versus Kapila Dev's godly philosophy. Right? Okay. And Prabhupada also talks of Kala. Right? So here it says Swamsa Kalaya. Right? So Swa Amsa Kalaya, my own plenary portion. So if you see, the Lord has Amsa, Swamsa, and Vibhinnamsa. Swa Amsa, that means his own expansion. Who are those? All the Vishnu expansions. Vibhinnamsa are those who are actually separated part and parcel of Krishna. That means the Jivas, all of us. We are Vibhinnamsa. We are also part and parcel of Krishna, but we are separated. Right? So Swamsa and Vibhinnamsa. Now, when the Swamsa expansions are further expanded, they become Kala. Kala is an expansion from an expansion of the Lord. Right? Example is Sankarshan. Chaitanya Charitamrita actually makes this point. Sankarshan, Ananta are examples of Kala. Okay, so let's stop here. So this is what the Lord spoke to Kardama. Now we'll see what happens further. Okay. Any comments or any thoughts up to this point? So we read a conversation what Kardama prayed to the Lord and what the Lord replied to Kardama. Any points up to this?
I like the point that everything should be used in Lord's service.
Thank you.
Devotees are very compassionate too, and they distribute Krishna to everyone.
The nature of a devotee is so strong. Prabhupada is saying, unless one gives Krishna to others, he's in the Kanishta stage. And how we give Krishna to others may be different for different people. Someone may be doing active book distribution. Someone may be preaching just by worshipping the deity in the temple. Why? Because he's worshipping the deity so nicely that people come to take darshan of Radha Goloka. So that's also one way of preaching. But the mood has to be there. The quality of Kanishta is said, he worships the deity, but then if devotees come and say like, I don't care for it. I care only. That is Kanishta. But if someone is serving the deity with the mood that now people are going to come take darshan of Radha Golokananda, and then they will actually fall in love with Radha Golokananda, then that is preaching. Someone who's just serving, maintaining the temple, that is preaching. So that mentality has to be right. Otherwise, any service can actually be extended in that mentality of giving Krishna to others. If someone is cooking nice prasadam, is that preaching? Certainly. In Sunday feast, if you don't have prasadam, then the attendance will drop to maybe 1/10 of the number of people. Everyone comes for Krishna prasadam. So that. Thank you. Anything else?
Prabhu, it's a question like, so, we see how that is, we were reading like how Lord is telling to, as you said about the Bhagavad Gita, that, you have to do Yat Karosi Yadasnasi verse. But then, that stage that we are talking about, like a person who comes to the platform of like, just give me devotional service, just give me your association, just give me Bhakta association. So this is like, you can see like, how the progression, like, can we consider like that, Prabhu, like, when Mahaprabhu and Ramananda's conversation happened, that was the same thing, like, stages.
Yeah.
Right. So this is for Kardama Muni. And Devahuti probably it could have been at that stage and say like coming to Arjuna's platform, it comes to Sarvadharma and Parityaja level. So I was just trying to figure out that, so a devotee who performs devotional service, like, how the third chapter is like, karma and Krishna-centered karma, and then finally coming to the 18th chapter and say, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhaktu, that is the stage. So for them, could we understand that for Kardama Muni and Devahuti, that this is their stage of advancement?
So
Because what Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur is saying, Prabhu, as you read, that you will end up being one of the gopi to see the Brahm, I mean, so that is
that
practically easy. His perfection would be to be Krishna's.
I mean
Right?
that's the only reference where we see that he is Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says that you will actually see that form of Krishna showing, the universal form to Mother Yashoda. But
I was
further,
trying to
like,
connect because Kapila Devi is also like fatherly, like they have the maternal relationship. So probably his perfection in Golok would be.
no, I mean that's actually Kardamuni. Actually, though he has Kapila as his son, he does not have a parental relation.
Parental relationship.
That's why when Kapila appears, he leaves. Because his relationship is not parental and he wants to keep his original rasa, and hence he actually leaves. He says, if I'm here, then I will serve you in that mood of parental, but that's not my rasa. And we'll read that, we'll come later. So, but to your point, actually Prabhupada makes a point in purport that Kardamuni was already liberated. He was so advanced, he was liberated. So it wasn't so much of Kardamuni going through different stages of like elevation. Yes, he goes through the Grahastha ashram, but even while Grahastha ashram, we'll read about how he enjoys and all those things. But he is actually one way already very advanced soul. He's already a very advanced soul. And yeah, imagine the Lord coming right in front of you and saying that, okay, now you'll come back to me soon. I mean, that's it's so advanced. So one way, like the point that we read about where he's saying that you will show compassion to all living entities, how that is actually Prabhupada explaining, that is basically in Grihastha ashram. You will actually serve everyone. And then you will give fearlessness, that is sannyas. So those stages are there. But he's still elevated personality, very, very, very elevated. So
Like Vaisheshika Prabhu.
yeah, in Grihastha also giving Krishna to others. Okay.
True. Also, one more thing is, if we sometimes see Varna and Ashramas together, so say like Brahmana is not supposed to, get money, but he becomes a Grihastha. He has to work, he cannot.
Yeah, so then how does a Brahmana earn money? He still does his duty of Patan Padan, Yajan Yajan Dan Pratigraha, right? So he actually teaches Shastra, he does Yagya, right? He does all these. And then people just give him as a charity. So it's not like a fixed job where you're going just to earn money. People will provide the needs of a Brahmana. Oh, he's come to do puja. Here, take some fruits, take some grains as charity. But the Brahmana's intention is not that I'm doing this for earning money. Because as soon as the intention becomes I'm working to earn money, that is Shudra mentality. So Brahmana just does a seva and he is dependent. Krishna will provide everything. It will come. It will come.
But Prabhu, in the Archana Shastra, that is said that if the Brahmana fixes, that I will do this yagna for like $500, so all his qualifications are gone. So somebody who does not fix it, but depends on charity, but still he does that pattern.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how the Brahmanas are sustained. Okay, so let's continue. So now with the dialogue is over, now we'll see what happens, right? So text 33.
Maitreya Uvacha Evam Tam Anubhasyata Bhagavan Pratyag Akshajaha Jagama Bindu Sarasaha Sarasvatya Parishritat. Maitreya went on. Thus, having spoken to Kardama Muni, the Lord, who reveals himself only when the senses are in Krishna consciousness, departed from that lake called Bindu Sarovara which was encircled by the river Saraswati.
So further, Maitreya Rishi is continuing the conversation. He's saying, so what happened? Evan tas anubhasya. So having spoken like this, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord personality over there, and this word pratek aksha. So Prabhupada actually, in the purport, he focuses on this word. Pratyak aksha, right? So one way we know the Lord is what? Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means what? Akshaja senses. Adhokshaja, who is beyond the perception of the senses. So Adhokshaja. Now here the Lord is called Pratek Akshaja. Means the Lord who was seen by the senses. Isn't this opposite? See, Adhokshaja means the Lord who is beyond the perception of senses. Pratek Akshaja means the Lord who is seen by the senses. How does both of these actually make sense? Are you understanding this point? So Prabhupada actually he elaborates on this. He says the Lord imperceptible to material senses, but still he's seen here by senses. So Adhokshaja has become Pratyak Akshaja. And when will that happen? When our senses are actually purified by devotional service. So senses as such we cannot perceive. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhave grayam indriya. With our indriya, you cannot see Atha Shri Krishna Nam Adi. Right? We cannot perceive the name, the form, the quality of the Lord. But Sevan Mukhe hi Jivado Swayam Eva. So when you engage in devotional service, the Lord appears. And how will we see the Lord? Still through the senses. So that Lord who is Adhokshaja becomes Pratyak Akshaja for those who are engaged in devotional service. Right? So that's the point that Prabhupada actually he stresses on. So Pratyak Akshaja means the purification of the material senses. And after the purification, when one actually perceives the Lord, that Lord is actually Pratyak Akshaja. And because here he showed himself to Kardamuni, and Kardamuni is seeing the Lord, he's talking to the Lord. So hence the Lord is called Pratyak Akshaja. Right? And then after that, what do we see? The Lord, he departed from this Bindu Sarovar, which is encircled by Saraswati. So Lord went away. Okay. Further, 34.
Nirikshatastasya yayavashesha siddheshwarabhishtuta siddhamargaha akarnayan patraratendra pakshar ucharitam stomam udirna sama.
Translation, Hare Krishna. While the sage stood looking on, the Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, a path extolled by all great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Samaveda were vibrated by the flapping wings of the Lord's carrier Garuda. Hare Krishna.
Right, so interesting. So the Lord is leaving, and what is Kardamuni doing? Nirikshata tasya. He was looking on, oh, the Lord is going, right? And then where is he going? So this Siddha Ishvara Abhishtuta. He took that path which is actually praised by liberated personalities. Which is the path? Which highway? I-40? Not I-40. What is the path? That path that goes back home, back to God. That part which is actually praised by those liberated personalities, the Lord actually went through that path back home, back to God. We just need to find out which is that road. That path will take us back home, back to God. Right? The Lord, he took that path and left to the left back to Vaikuntha. And then further, it says, while the Lord was going, Akarnayan. So he was hearing. So not only he was seeing the Lord going, but he was also hearing. And what could they hear? Garuda, Patra Ratha Indra, right? The king of all Patra. That means the birds. The king of all birds. He was flapping his wings. Pakshihi, he was flapping his wings. And while he was flapping his wings, it said that the two wings of Garuda, one wing when he flaps, then what comes out? The Samaveda, and particularly that aspect of Samaveda called Brihat Sama. And when the other wing is flapped, another aspect of Sama actually comes called Ratantara Sama. So the flapping of these wings are actually Samaveda and 2 divisions of the Samaveda. Right? So he was hearing the prayers of the Samveda as Garuda was carrying the Lord back home, back to Godhead. Okay.
Can you repeat the both Ratantara, the both?
Yeah, so the 2 aspects of the Samaveda, one is Brihat Sama, right? B-R-H-A-T, Brihat. And the second one is Rathantara, R-A-T-H-A-N-T-A-R-A, Rathantara. Right? Is that proper mention in the purport? You can see Brihat and Rathantara. Okay. So Prabhupada further also elaborates on this path back home, back to Godhead. This path that leads to Vaikuntha is worshipped by liberated souls. Right? Which is a shloka? Sada Pashyanti Surya Diva Chakshur Atanam Tad Vipraso Vipnava Jagranam Sasamindati Vishnu Riyat Parampadam Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. So whenever we do puja, in the morning after we do the Achmana prayer, we chant this prayer. And what is that? Sada Pashyanti Surya. Those who are devotees, where they are always looking, they are looking at the path back home, back to God. That's where their vision is, right? Because that's their destination. So path leads to Vaikuntha is worshipped by liberated souls. Many strive, but those who are actually liberated, yeah. So basically that's the main point, right? The path leads, which leads to Vaikuntha is not worshipped by ordinary class of transcendentalists. Only those who are liberated from material bondage, they can become devotees of the Lord. They actually worship this path, going back home, back to God. Right? And then further, Prabhupada says, there are many persons who are trying to attain perfection by striving for liberation. And those who are actually liberated are called Brahmabhuta. Right? That means that Brahmabhuta means what? Na sochati, na kankshati. So no more aspiration of this material world. They are the ones whose goal is very clear, back home, back to God. But if you're not a Brahmabhuta, then it is like how we say, 1 foot in water, 1 foot on the land. Right? So many times our situation is like that. Yes, we want to go home, back to Godhead, but there are attachments here. There's an anchor still keeping us here. Yes, we want to go there, but here, right? So those who are liberated, then their goal becomes clear. Their vision is only, where is that path that goes back home, back to God? Prabhupada calls that Brahmabhuta, and he quotes this verse, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma for sure, and he quotes 4:30:20, right? So this is, of course, a verse on the Bhagavatam, 4:30:20, which actually talks of this is the Brahmabhuta stage, which describes the Brahmabhuta stage. So this verse says, always engaging in activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee, makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, Brahmabhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to Brahmabhuta situation. 4:30:20. Right? So basically, what is this verse saying? That always engage in devotional service. Devotees, they feel so much taste in Hari Katha, Hari Kirtan, that they have no more any aspiration of this material world. Right? That is the Brahmabhuta stage. Okay, 35.
Prabhu, I was thinking the Lord, even when he's going back or coming here, he's hearing Samaveda. So practically, he never lets the mantra going off.
Yeah, the mantra is always going on. Keep the spiritual vibration going.
Basically the point I was trying to think is like how he is not interested into the Brahman of silence.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, see, whenever we talk of the Lord is always accompanied with devotees. And what is a devotee's mood? The devotees are always doing Satatam Kirtayantama, always glorifying the Lord. So wherever the Lord is, there's always glorification of the Lord. So, okay, 35, nice point.
Atasam prastite sukle kardamo bhagavan rishihi aste sma bindu sarasi tam kalam pratipalayam.
Hare Krishna translation. And after the departure of the Lord, the worshipful sage Kardama stayed on the bank of Bindu Sarovara, awaiting the time of which the Lord had spoken. Hare Krishna.
So, Sampratishte Shukle, the Lord actually he departed. Then here actually Bhagwan is referred to Kardamuni. That great powerful sage, Bhagwan, Kardamuni. Then what did he do? He stayed Aste Sma Bindu Sarasi. He was at that Bindu Sarovar. And then Kalam Pratip Palayan. So the Lord already said, right, your suitable wife is coming. And the Lord said, 2 days from now. So he was waiting and waiting. Okay, when will my wife come? Right? So he was just waiting at that place. Okay, next 36.
Manusyandanam asthaya shatakam bhuparichadam aropya swam duhitaram sabharya paryatan mahim.
Swayambhava Manu with his wife mounted his chariot, which was decorated with golden ornaments. Placing his daughter on it with them, he began traveling all over the earth. Hare Krishna.
So now the scene changes, right? Now Kardamuni is waiting on one side. Now we see on this side, right? So here it says the emperor Swayambhava Manu. So it says Manu Sandhyanam Asthaya. So that's Swayambhava Manu. He Asthaya, he mounted on his chariot. Shatakamba Parichadam. And what is the chariot made of? Gold and gold ornaments. That is his chariot. And then Aropya Swam Duhitaram. He actually placed his own daughter on the chariot, Sabharya, along with his wife, Paryantam Mahim. And they were traveling all over the world with daughter and wife. Right? So Swayambhava Manu on his chariot was traveling all around the world with his daughter and wife. And then Prabhupada makes a point in purport that because Swayambhava Manu was so affectionate to his daughter, though he was the emperor, he personally set out on the chariot to actually find a suitable husband for his daughter. Right? He did not assign anyone else. Okay, I'm the emperor, I'm busy, you arrange something. No, he personally is going around to actually find a daughter for his husband for his daughter. 37.
Tasmin sudanvan ahani bhagavan yat samadhishat upayat ashrama padam mune shanta vratasya tat.
O Vidura, they reached the hermitage of the sage who had just completed his vows of austerity on the very day foretold by the Lord.
So does the Lord make a mistake? Said so and so wife, but he says like so and so day she will come, right? So here, so Su Dhanwan, oh great bowman Vidura. Right? I was thinking of why like Maitreya Rishi is using that Su Dhanwan here. So does anyone have any idea? Like there must be a reason why Maitreya Rishi is actually now using that oh great bowman Vidura. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur does not elaborate on this point. But anyway, something that we can think about, because every time a particular name is used, there is a meaning, a significance to that. Yeah? So here he says, oh great bowman Vidura. Then he says, Tasmin, on that day, the Lord, actually, as it was foretold, Samadhishat, as it was foretold by the Lord, then Upayat, Swayambhava Manu, he reached Ashrama Padam, that holy ashrama, where the Muni, Swayambhava Manu, was there. And what he had done? Shanta Vratasya. He just completed his 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna. No, not exactly, but he had completed his vow of austerity. So he did all his worship, he was just completed his vow, and then Swayambhava Manu arrived. 38. So next from 38 to 44 is a description of Bindu Sarovar. Because Swayambhava Manu has come there, so he gives a description how that place actually looks. Go ahead.
One thing I was thinking is that Vidura left his bow at the entrance. So he left. Remember, he just left his bow there. And here it's talking about austerity, and I don't know. I'm just seeing if there's a connection with.
Yeah, something like that. We have to, certain points, like it's interesting, but we just have to think that what is the connection. So I was thinking of that point, like he's calling him the bowman, but Vidura just left his bow at the entrance and walked away. went for this entire holy pilgrimage. But again, Maitreya Rishi is calling. Oh, great, Bowman.
Prabhu, I was thinking that sometimes how you are a great person, you have a great responsibility, you are a great warrior. Still, you have so much taste in sitting and hearing the glories of the Lord. You give up your occupation, to be present to hear. So let me speak more.
I mean, yeah, that's a nice meaning. Yeah, yeah. So when our acharyas don't give commentary, then we can actually think of these reasons, and as long as it's in line with Shastra, we can appreciate them. Okay, next verse. Thank you.
Yasmin bhagavato netran nyapatan ashrubindava kripaya samparitasya prapanirpitaya vrisham tadvai bindu saro nama saraswatya pariputam punyam shivamrita jalam maharshi ganasevitam.
The holy lake Bindu Sarova, flooded by the waters of the river Saraswati, was resorted to by hosts of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only auspicious, but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindu Sarova because drops of tears had fallen there from the eyes of the Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sage who had sought his protection.
Amazing, right? So here it says, Yasmin, in which Bhagwan Netra Nyapatam Ashru Bindava. So why is it called Bindu Sarovar? Because when Kardamuni prayed, and the Lord, when he actually appeared, he was feeling so much compassion for Kardamuni that he was actually crying tears. And those tears actually form this Bindu Sarovar, right? And then the lake called Bindu Sarovar. And then further it says, Pariplutam Saraswatya. So this is actually connected to the river Saraswati, right? So here Prabhupada says what? Flooded by the waters of the river Saraswati. So this lake formed by the tears of the Lord was flooded by the river Saraswati. And then further it says, Punyam Shiva Amrita. And how is this water? It's Punyam, it is very holy. Shiva, it is very auspicious. Amrita, it is nectar. This water, which is actually holy, auspicious, and nectarian water. And Maharishi Gana Sevitam. All the Maharishis, all the great sages, they actually serve this Bindu Sarovar. So this is the glory of this place known as Bindu Sarovar. One minute, I'll just show you some images of this place. So you can also now visit this place. Yeah.
Prabhu, these ashrams are created the time when Kardama Muni came, or it happened before? Because how is that it's just happened, right?
What's your question, sir?
I'm like Bindu Sarova, you're saying that it was created by the teardrops of the Lord when he was so much in love with Kardama Muni.
Yeah.
So, but then the verse is saying that it has been worshipped by Maharishis, Gana Sevitam. It is so how I'm trying to.
I mean, the
think
point that Maitreya Rishi is saying that at that time Kardamuni is actually doing that, and then since that time,
But now, okay. But now it has been
Rishis
worshipped.
are actually serving that. Right? Let me just see. I'm not able to share the screen. Oh yeah, here. So here, actually, there's an article you can search. One devotee is written, All India Padyatra visits Bindu Sarovar, the site of Kardamuni's austerity. So this was in 2021. They actually took the whole yatra there. So here you can see this is how Bindu Sarovar looks right now. Right? And then you have this deities. I don't know which deity is that mentioned. Yeah, but this is the place. This is in Gujarat, right? In northern Gujarat. So yeah, it is in the town known as Siddhapur on the banks of Saraswati River in northern Gujarat. So this is the place how it looks. Bindu Sarovar. Okay. Okay, so Prabhupada makes a point also in the purport where he says, the Lord, by his tears, he created Bindu Sarovar. Right? And then Prabhupada says, by his perspiration, he created the Ganges. I mean, I was thinking like why Prabhupada is actually making the point that just as the drops of perspiration which fell from the toe of the Lord became the sacred Ganges, right? Similarly, the teardrops from the Lord's eyes became the Bindu Sarovar. But both of them, anything coming from the Lord is completely transcendental. So both of them, Bindu Sarovar and Mother Ganges, are transcendental entities. Therefore, they are worshipped by great sages and scholars. The other point Prabhupada actually focuses on Shiva Amrita Jala. Shiva means curing. So anyone who drinks the water of Bindu Sarovar is cured of all material diseases. And similarly, anyone who bathes in the Ganges is also relieved of all material. Actually, this is a very interesting point, that those who actually live on the banks of the Ganges and every day take bath in the Ganges, actually just by that, their health is actually so good. They get cured of all material disease. And even now, if you go to the Himalayas, like if you go to Badrikashram and all those places, they have this. If you go up in the cold Himalayas, there is this hot springs, natural hot springs. And there everyone says, oh, if you have any material disease, just stay in that hot spring and it'll get cured. It will get cured. So this word Shiva, is Prabhupada is saying, it cures of all material disease. Just you stay on the banks of the Ganges, every day you take bath, you'll be cured of sometimes there in the Himalayas, they say, oh, if you have any skin disease, just take bath here. It will all go away. So this is the one way, the material potency of the river, but spiritual potency is totally different. Okay, next, 40.
Punya Drumalata Jalai Pujat Punya Mrigat Vijay Sarvartu Palapushpadhyam Vanaraji Shriyan Vitam.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The shore of the lake was surrounded by clusters of pious trees and creepers, rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons, that afford shelter to pious animals and birds, which uttered various cries. It was adorned by the beauty of groves of forest trees. Hare Krishna.
So it is very interesting. It's like pairs here. Punya, it says, then two things. What is it? Druma and Lata. So trees and creepers. Then second one, Punya. Again two. Mriga and Dvijahi. Animals and birds. Third one, Sarva Ritu. What is it? All the seasons. Phala and Pushpa. Right? And then it was adored by the beauty of groves of trees. So Prabhupada actually makes a point that Punya means pious. So just like in human beings, there are pious and impious human beings. So similarly, even in trees, in animals, in birds, there is pious and impious birds. Right? What would be an impious bird example? And a pious bird example?
Crows.
Prawns.
Crows, right? Right. So in Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplo, we already discussed in that first canto, 5th chapter. One is swans, and other category is crows. Right? So pious and impious. Right? Okay. Prabhupada also makes a point, and the birds in Bindu Sarovar, every tree bore fruits and flowers, and every bird sang the glories of the Lord. And Prabhupada goes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada is saying all the birds there at Bindu Sarovar were chanting the holy name. Okay, 41.
Mata Dvija Ganar Gushtam Mata Brahmara Vibramam Mata Barhi Natatopam Avayan Matta Kokilam.
Hare Krishna. The area resounded with the notes of overjoyed birds. Intoxicated bees wandered there. Intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and merry cuckoos called one another.
So it's just description of this beauty of this place, right? Mata Dvija. Dvija means animals, birds. Mata, intoxicated. They are mata, intoxicated birds. Where gushtam, they were actually just singing. They were so overjoyed, intoxicated in happiness that they were just singing. Right? And then the bees also were mata. So they were intoxicated bees were actually wandering everywhere. Then the bari was also mata. Bari means peacocks. The peacocks were actually maddened and then they were actually dancing so nicely. And then the kokila is also mata. So 4 things mata. Dvija, Brahmara, Bari, and Kokila. And Kokilas are actually maddened and hence they were swinging so sweetly. 42, 43.
Kadamba Champaka Shoka Karanja Bakula Shanai Kunda Mandar Kutajaish Chuta Poter Alankritam Karandavai Flavair Hamsai Ururair Jalakukutai Sarasaischa Kravakaischa Chakorair Valgupujitam.
So if you see this verse, it is basically a list. Kadamba, Champaka, Ashoka, Karanjan, they're all like different flowers. And Bakula, right? Then Ashanahi, Asana trees. Then Kunda flowers. Mandara, Kutajahi. So, so Mandara, Prabhupada translates word to word as Mandara. I mean, like, he writes Mandara, word to word translation, Mandara. So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport. He says, like, many of these flowers, there is no English synonym also, right? Because, they were there at that time, but then, people don't have access to such wonderful, trees and flowers. So there is no English synonym. So there's a whole list of different flowers. The air was filled with pleasing notes of different birds. So there's Karandava, flowers, swans, etc. So it's the whole thing is a list. Right? So flowering trees and then birds, pleasing sounds of birds. 44.
Translation. Lake Bindu Sarovar was adorned by flowering trees such as Kadamba, Champaka, Ashoka, Karanja, Bakula, Asana, Kunda, Mandara, Kutaja, and young mango trees. The air was filled with the pleasing notes of Karandava ducks, plovers, swans, ospreys, waterfowl, cranes, chakravakas, and chakoras.
Okay, one more, 44.
Tataiva harinai krodai shravid gavaya kunjarai gopuchar haribhir markar nakular nabibhiritam.
Hare Krishna. Translation. It's a source abounded with the deer, boars, porcupines, gavias, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, and musk deer. Hare Krishna.
So again, like, on the shores, you have all these animals. So Prabhupada actually talks about this musk deer. Right? The musk deer, the speciality is they have this nabhi, right? An organ of their own body, which actually emits such a nice fragrance. And we use this musk deer as an example for what? So the musk deer has its own organ, which gives so nice fragrance. And the musk deer is always thinking in the forest, where is this fragrance coming from? And it goes all around the forest, saying, here also I can smell it, here also I can smell it. And he's searching for where the fragrance is coming, not knowing that the fragrance is actually coming from his own body, right? And this example is used that how, we look for happiness everywhere outside. Where is happiness? Where is happiness? Not knowing that happiness is right here in the core of our heart with our connection with Supreme Personality of God. Right? So that must be is made. Gavaya Prabhupada also says that the bunch of hair that is at the end of the tails, and from that, the chamara. So in the temple, you see, when you do archana, we have the chamara. That's actually the end of the tail of these Gavayas. So actually now, if you go to Vrindavan, most of the chamaras, the white chamara kinds, they are actually just synthetic. It's like made of nylon. It is very rare to find the one which is the original, which is actually from the end of the tail of these Gavayas. So it is rare to find, but it is possible. You can get those things, but now mostly it is synthetic. Okay. So that is a description of Bindu Sarovar, right? Now, why Bhagavatam is giving this description? I mean, everything Bhagavatam says, there has to be a significance to it. So why Maitreya Rishi feels it is important to give a description of this Bindu Sarovar? Anyone has any thoughts? Okay. So this will come later where we'll get more idea about this point. But right now we just consider that, okay, Kardama Muni is actually performing severe austerities, but the place itself is so beautiful with all these trees, all these birds, all this, Bindu Sarovar, the water which is actually made from the tear of the Lord. And everything is so perfect in this place. So in such a serene place, Swayambhuva Manu is actually going to come and he's going to have a conversation with Kardama. Now, later on, we'll read that when Kardama Muni actually performs austerity, and then Devavati, she actually, becomes emaciated by this austerity. Then she takes bath in this Bindu Sarovar and her entire body gets rejuvenated. But we'll come later. But everything in Bhagavatam has an importance why that shloka is actually there. Everyone will ask? Yeah.
Prabhuji, the chamaras that we use in the temple, they are yak-tail hares, right? Here it's mentioned it's a species of cow.
Gavaya, right? That's what Prabhupada
Yeah.
said. Sometimes called chamaris. They are considered in India.
Because that yak-tail is that white colored tail, right?
Yeah.
The cows usually have black hair. No?
No, but this is a very special kind of gavayas. They're not just ordinary cows.
So do we ever have access to that? I thought we always use yak-tail chamaras.
I mean, the gavaya, maybe it is, as I said, in Kali Yuga, everything gets, the original chamara is supposed to be, I think, of these gavayas. But because these gavayas are not found, they said, okay, yak is the closest, let's use that. Now yak tail also is not found, then what do? Synthetic. I mean, that's how Kali Yuga is. Everything is getting degraded lower and lower. So whatever we can get the best, we use that in Krishna's service. But like even oils, like when you offer the deities oils. Now, where can you find that real original oil? Any oil you go, you buy, they have some chemicals mixed. Now you're offering this oil to the body of the Lord. You should use a pure one. Like in one class, Kardama Muni is coming to mind again. Kadamba Kanan Maharaj, he was saying that he went to a shop and he said, I want pure one of these oils. And he said, if you really want the pure, and he said, for the pure, one drop of that pure oil will be some thousands of dollars. That's what he said. He said, like, thousands of, how can you afford that kind of oil? So we try to get our best, but we know in Kali Yuga things are actually reducing. So even in our deity worship, whatever we have to use, we use, but we try to get the best, most natural possible. But yeah.
We can relate to it like the bottles of juices that they give. If we buy the fruit, it will be such expensive. How can the juice be so cheap? Huh? So it's all,
Yeah. That's true. Okay, now 45 to 49, we see how Kardama Muni, he is receiving Swayambhuva Manu. So Swayambhuva Manu has come, right? One way if you see, now it is like, it is one way Kardama Muni is waiting for his wife to come. And then Swayambhuva Manu is bringing his daughter. So now it is, it's like a movie, now it's like exciting time. They're coming together. Okay, now 45 to 49. Go ahead.
प्रविश्य तत्तीर्थवरम् आदिराजसहात्मजः ददर्श मुनिम् आसीनं तस्मिन् हुताशनं विद्योतमानं वपुषा तपस्युग्रयुजाचिरं नातिक्षामं भगवतः स्निग्धापङ्गावलोकनात् तद्व्याहृतामृतकला पीयूषा श्रवणेन च पद्मफलाशाक्षं जटिलं चिरवाससं upasamsritya malinam yatharhanam asamskritam.
Hare Krishna translation. Entering the most sacred spot with his daughter and going near the sage, the first monarch, Swayambhuva Manu, saw the sage sitting in his hermitage, having just propitiated the sacred fire by pouring oblations into it. His body shone most brilliantly, though he had engaged in austere penance for a long time. He was not emaciated, for the Lord had cast his affectionate sidelong glance upon him, and he had also heard the nectar flowing from the moon-like words of the Lord. The sage was tall, his eyes were large, like the petals of a lotus, and he had matted locks on his head. He was clad in rags. Swayambhuva Manu approached and saw him to be somewhat soiled, like an unpolished gem. Hare Krishna.
Very nice verses. So here it says the Pravishya Tirthavaram. So who is actually entering this Tirthavaram, this best of sacred places? Swayambhuva Manu, right? Adi Raja Saha Atmaja. That first monarch, Swayambhuva Manu, along with Atmaja, his own daughter, he actually came to the sacred place. And then Dadarsha, he saw Munim Asinam. He saw that Kardama Muni sage sitting there, right? Asinam, he's sitting. And Huta Hatha Asanam. And he has just propitiated the sacred fire for offering oblations. So he had just finished that yagya that he was performing. Then he actually saw that Kardama Muni, how was his body? Vidyutta Manam Vapusa. His body was shining brilliantly. Right? Tapasvi Ugra engaged in severe penances. Yuja Chiram for a very long time. Na Atikshamam. Yet his body was not emaciated. So what is the point here? The point is he saw Kardama Muni, and though Kardama Muni was performing austerity for how many years? 10,000 years. And imagine if someone performs austerity for 10,000 years, then one would expect the body to be emaciated, old, big beard, hair all, messed up. Like, imagine like 10,000 years austerity. No, they won't consider their own health condition. But still, he saw that in spite of that long austerity, his body was actually shining. It was not emaciated. And why was it? Why was his body not emaciated? Because he had Bhagavad Snigdha Apanya Avalokan. Snigdha means affectionate. He actually received the affectionate sidelong glance of the Lord. And second thing, Vyaharta Amrita Kala Piyusha Shravanena. He had heard that Piyusha, that nectar, words, moon-like words of the Lord. And because of these two things, he heard the nectar of the words of the Lord. He received the glance of the Lord, sidelong glance. And because of that, in spite of performing austerity for such a long time, his body was still shining. It was not emaciated. Now, Prabhupada in his purport, he actually makes a point that Kardama Muni heard the sound of the Lord, and then hence his body was not emaciated. And what did Prabhupada say? So anyone who hears the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the sound of the Lord, he will be healthy. Brother Prabhupada in his purport, he actually says, where is it? Yeah. So one who hears the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, also improves in health. Just by hearing that, how Kardama Muni, he was so emaciated. He was not emaciated, but he was shining so brilliantly just by hearing the word. So when we hear the holy name, naturally we become so healthy. Prabhupada said. So and then Prabhupada says, we have actually seen that brahmacharis and grihasthas in our ISKCON society have improved in health, and a luster has come to their faces. It is essential that a brahmachari engaged in spiritual advancement look very healthy and lustrous, right? So I'll give you my personal example. The first time I came to an ISKCON temple and I saw all these brahmacharis, they were like, dancing in kirtan and so effulgent and so pure. And they have shaved head, right? Shaved head, shika, so nice shining foreheads and so effulgent and bright. I was like, I want to become like them. That was my first thought that came to me. That where do you see such effulgent, shining personalities? And it's like, I want to become like them. And Prabhupada makes a point in the purport that those who are just engaged in lust and all that, then their face becomes dull-headed. And it is, I mean, you can see this, many times, like, you see people even at work, they come, like not taking shower, they'll come and their face is like so dull-headed and like just like, no life, With brahmacharis, you see, they have life, shining face and effulgence. And so Prabhupada is making the point. Actually, one sannyasi was making the point. He was saying that his brother, like biological brother, was 4 years elder to him. And now, he still has contact with his brother, but he was actually saying, now if you actually see that him and his brother, oh, sorry, other way. He was 4 years elder than his brother, right? The sannyasi was 4 years elder than his brother. So brother didn't take up Krishna consciousness, but this is a ISKCON sannyasi. And he was saying that though I am elder, I look so much more younger than his brother. Anyone can say. And then further, Prabhupada also makes a point that as brahmacharis, what is our lifestyle? Cannot sleep till 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. Must rise early in the morning, at least 1.5 hours before sunrise, right? This is for any devotee, this is our thing. At least 1.5 hours before sunrise, cannot sleep till 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And then we get up, we chant the holy name. Prabhupada says, Kalo Nasteva, 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 no alternative. So they get up, rise in the morning, and then chant the holy name. And just by doing that, one's health becomes good, and so on, right? Okay.
Prabhu, just want to share this recent incident that happened. Mother was going to school. So one of the parents just met me yesterday. She said that her daughter said that mother smells so good and he looks so happy when he comes to school. Now we know the reason that he's very happy to go to school, but he smells good because he's having noshing oil.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, devotees stand out, that way. Like, you just see devotees, they are like so effulgent, happy, bright faced, And then Prabhupada used to make the point that, his disciples, you see his disciples, shaved up with tilak, and so like they look like people from Vaikuntha. People from Vaikuntha. Okay. Okay, next section, 48.
Ato tajam upayatam nirdevam pranatam puraha saparyaya paryagrinat pratinandyanurupaya.
Seeing that the monarch had come to his hermitage and was bowing before him, the sage greeted him with benediction and received him with due honor. Hare Krishna.
So Swayambhuva Manu came to that holy place and he saw how Kardamuni was so effulgent, so bright, in spite of his long austerities. And here it says, Naradevam Pranatam. That monarch, what did he do? He actually offered his pranam to the feet of Kardamuni. So Manu is offering his respects to the feet of Kardamuni. And when Kardamuni saw that how this emperor of the world is coming and offering obeisances to my feet, then Kardamuni paryagrahat. That basically means he received him with great honor, right? Giving him benedictions, greeting him. So basically Kardamuni, he raised him up, he embraced him, right? And yes, and then the king will actually speak. Sorry, what is it? Oh, 1 minute. Sorry. The reason I wrote that is here. The king said, this is actually how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he introduces dialogues in between the shlokas, right? So here, Vishwanath, it's not that in the shloka, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually said, the king said, today I have been successful because I met in person the form of powerful austerity. That your form is that of powerful austerity. And hence I'm seeing you. I am so successful. And then the sage responded by praising him. O king, today I am seeing you endowed with the power to protect the universe by the Lord. Right? And this will come later on, where we'll see how Kardamuni actually speaks to Swayambhuva Manu. Okay, 14. Yeah, okay, 14 and last shloka, then we'll take a break.
Grihitarhanam asinam samyatam prinayan munihi smaran bhagavad adesham ityaha shlakshnaya gira.
After receiving the sage's attention, the king sat down and was silent. Recalling the instructions of the Lord, Kardama then spoke to the king as follows, delighting him with his sweet accents.
So the king actually, after he worshipped one way, offered his obeisances, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also said that he washed the feet of Kardama. And after doing that, then the king actually, he just became silent. Right? Now Kardama, he was actually thinking, okay, he knew what the Lord had actually instructed, and how my father-in-law is going to come, to be father-in-law is going to come. So he knew all that. Then he started speaking. And the next few verses of this chapter, from text 50 to 56, is how Kardamuni, he actually glorifies Swayambhuva Manu. Right? So we'll read about that. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. Any comments or any points up to this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like the point that how happiness is there inside us and I'm searching it everywhere.
Yeah. Must Dear is a nice example for that.
Hare
I like
Krishna.
that. Please go ahead, Mataji.
I like the point where, like if we depend on the choice of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will receive benedictions in greater opulence than we desire.
I mean, not that we expect it, not that we desire it, but if there are some material desires and we are approaching Krishna in that mood of honesty, then Krishna will take care of it. Like however Krishna fulfills, that's the best thing for us. So that should be our mood. Yeah, Ratna.
I was so touched to think how Krishna not only fulfilled the desire of Kardama, but like in such an affectionate way. Like he says, "And my own Amsha will come as your son," and then he's crying tears and creating. It's like so much affection. A lot, you could think, oh, it's just a material desire, but the Lord is showing so much love, and the way He's fulfilling it is so wonderful, more beyond expectations. Right? Krishna's so kind.
Yeah, well, even with material desires, someone is approaching the Lord. The Lord is so merciful. That's why the Lord Himself is saying, any prayer to me never goes in vain. Never goes in vain. Like Dhruva Maharaj, praying for kingdom, I mean, that's like so material. Someone will say, like, what level is that? Someone is aspiring for a big kingdom. But see how the Lord treated him. Personally gave him that, touched the conch on his head so he could chant nice prayers of glorification and give him pure devotional service. So that's why our verse says what? Akama sarva kama va moksha kama utari. Even you're full of desire, turn to Krishna. It will always be auspicious for you.
So in situations where we don't get these desires being fulfilled, say we need this thing at this point, but it's not happened. So what should be our mood? Like it's not happening, say like right now your ambition is about, your Bhagavatam sets your goal. But if that does not happen, like even if last moment it does not happen, 1 year doesn't happen, the next year also, what should be our mood at that time? Like maybe I should do some other service. No, I don't think.
Not necessarily. I mean, devotee is not discouraged in that way. But the mood is, see, the point is this, like, you mentioned a very specific one, that we are setting a goal. Now, why are we setting a goal? For the service of the Lord, to please Srila Prabhupada, right? Now, we try our best, and in spite of that, let's say the goal is not met. Mostly like Krishna does it in such a way that some miracles happen, the goal normally is met. But in case it doesn't happen, then we have to, like how Vaishnav Prabhupada said, you just readjust your goal. That doesn't mean that you change your seva or anything. But you say, okay, we were over ambitious to serve this year, but next year we have to be make our goal in such a way that we actually plan. Okay, these are the places where I can distribute. These are the venues. This is what I'm thinking. So this should be my goal. So there's no discouragement that way in service of the Lord. One need not be discouraged, because Anyway, like, yesterday we went out for door-to-door Bhagavatam distribution. Just our going out door to door and talking to people about Bhagavatam, that itself is like, we feel like so pleasing to the Lord's heart. You can feel it, that this is so pleasing to Prabhupada. Now the result actually in Krishna's hand. The sets go or not, we can always try to improve our approach of presenting Bhagavatam, see how we can present it so nicely, but result finally in Krishna's hand. Now, so that's one particular example. But now let's say now someone is desiring to build a nice big temple for the Lord. Right? And he's like, okay, I'm doing this for Krishna. I want to have a nice temple. And somehow it is not working. So in that way, one can actually say, okay, why is it not working? One way, maybe the Lord's desire is at this time, maybe the new temple is not the main focus. Maybe the Lord is saying that, okay, right this time, I just want you to focus on congregation. Like, some places they have this. Like the temple is just small, the congregation is small, and they have an ambition to build a huge temple. And many times it does not happen. And then Lord is what? Redirecting it. First, build a congregation. Congregation growth is there, book distribution is there, then naturally temple, So sometimes it could be things like that. But when there is certain things like this, then, because it is very specific of what is the desire, we approach our Guru and say, okay, Guru Maharaj, I'm doing this seva. Is this what you want me to do? I'm trying this, maybe I'm not meeting my goal. What is your advice for me? That's how we know what is Krishna's desire for a particular thing. And, we read just, I think last class we discussed, right? How Prabhupada makes the point in the purport that the Guru is expert at knowing what is the best service for the disciple to be engaged in to progress in Krishna consciousness. I mean, if someone's mood is, is like not into like fundraising, and he was given the seva of fundraising. Somehow like fundraising is a very specific quality. But if that person is actually a Brahmanical nature, it will not work. You have to be like, have little Vaishya tendencies for actually having that work, Because if you have Brahmanical nature, you'll go for asking for donation and you'll give a Bhagavatam class and say like, okay, be happy with the knowledge and come back, So it doesn't matter. So the Guru will actually say, okay, this is a nature, this is a service you should actually focus on.
So basically, our bhakti is not more of like result oriented, but rather process oriented, like enjoyment of the process or fun in the process, right?
Our offering.
Offering oriented.
We always try to improve our service, but again, our service is what is important. Result is anyway Krishna's hand. Okay, so we'll stop here. Let's take a quick break and then we'll read what Kardamuni actually says to Swayambhuva Manu. And next chapter, we'll see how Swayambhuva Manu, he actually speaks to Kardama. Right? So it is almost 7 verses. Yeah, 7 verses Kardamuni is going to speak, 7 verses Swayambhuva Manu is going to speak. Right? Yeah, so 7 and 7. So we'll read that, we'll discuss when we come back. Okay. Thank you so much. So 5 minutes. Let's continue, resume.
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so let's continue. We are in text number 50. I was just thinking about this point that Devaniti Anamati asked a question. Actually, for a devotee, just that opportunity to serve is actually a blessing. You know, the result is secondary. For a devotee, just that opportunity, like let's say go out and distribute books or do any kind of seva, that itself is a blessing, and that's he's grateful to Krishna that you actually engage me in your service. Result anyway is in Krishna's hands. So if Krishna wants to give, he'll give. If not, Krishna has a different plan. I accept whatever, but I'm just happy to serve the Lord. Okay, text 50.
Nunam chankramanam deva satam samrakshanayate vadhaya cha shatam yastvam hare shaktir hi palini. I think that Karuna Mataji is next.
The tour you have undertaken, O Lord, is surely intended to protect the virtuous and kill the demons, since you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari.
So now, Karna Muni is actually glorifying Swayambhu Manu. And he's saying, Deva, O Lord, Chakramana, you are actually touring, you're going around. Why? Satam Samvyakshanaya, to actually protect the devotees. Vadaya Asatam, to kill the demons. So what is this similar to? Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya dushkritam. Exactly same point. Why does Krishna appear again and again? To protect the devotees, to annihilate the demons. So here he's saying, O Swayambhu Manu, O King, O Lord, you actually tour around to protect the virtuous and to kill the demons. And because you are actually doing the task of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, hence you are actually embodiment of the Shakti Palani, that protecting energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You embody that potency because you are doing the task of the Supreme Personality of God. Right? So Prabhupada makes a point that pious kings, they tour the kingdom just to fulfill the above two purposes. And then he compares it to modern heads. They sit nicely in the palaces and kill innocent people, Prabhupada saying. Innocent people. I was thinking like when Prabhupada is saying kill innocent people, you're saying like one point that Prabhupada often stresses is the slaughterhouses. They just sit there in the office and they sanction that so many animals being killed. Right? Okay, next verse, 51.
Yor Kendvagnindra Vayunam Yama Dharma Prachestasam Rupani Sthana Adhatse Tasmai Shuklayate Namaha.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You assume, when necessary, the part of the sun god, the moon god, Agni, the god of fire, Indra, the lord of paradise, Vayu, the wind god, Yama, the god of punishment, Dharma, the god of pity, and Varuna, the god presiding over the waters. All obeisances to you, who are none other than the Lord Vishnu. Hare Krishna.
So he's glorifying Swayambhu Manu as you are as good as Vishnu. Why? Because you're doing the task of Vishnu and you assume all these different forms. See, normally a Brahmana does not offer obeisances to the Lord, to the king. He offers obeisances to the Lord. He does not offer obeisances to the king. But here he is actually offering obeisances Because he's saying the king, you are actually a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and hence I'm offering obeisances to you. And hence he says, Tasmai Shuklaya Te Namaha. My obeisances because you are a representative of the king. Now, what are these? You assume the form of Arka, sun, right? So each one of these you can see. So sun. When does the king actually assume the form of sun? To actually show his majesty. That's the first thing. When does he actually assume the form of a moon? For his fame. So each one of these is actually associated with a quality that the king exhibits. So sun, majesty; moon, fame; fire, invisibility. Sorry, invincibility. Sorry, invincibility. Right? The king is invincible. Right? So invincibility. Indra as the lordship. Vayu, how the wind actually enters everywhere. The king is all pervasive by his actions. Then Yama for punishing the sinful. Then Dharma, righteousness. For Varuna, because the king is deep and has the hidden treasure of of the qualities that he has. So with each one of these forms, there's a quality that Kardamuni is actually addressing the king. So sun, majesty; moon, fame; fire, invincibility; Indra, lordship; Vayu, enter everywhere; Yama, punish the sinful; Dharma, righteousness; Varuna, deep and hidden treasure. Okay?
I missed. Can you go a little slower?
Okay. Sun, majesty;
Yeah.
moon, fame;
Yes.
fire, invincibility; Indra, lordship; Vayu, enter everywhere. So similarly, the actions of the king are all pervasive. Yama, to punish the sinful; Dharma, righteousness; and then Varuna, you are with deep and hidden treasure. Okay.
Guruji, what is the meaning of hidden treasure?
So that can be taken in two ways. One way, actually, this comes in another section of Bhagavatam where he actually says the king has hidden treasure just like the ocean. One can search it. I think we already read, was it in first canto? When describing the qualities of Parikshit Maharaj. Someone can look that up, but there also it is described that the king has hidden treasure. What does that mean? One way it would also mean that the king actually, when he extracts taxes, he collects all this money for emergency situations. So hence he has treasure which he'll not tell anyone. But whenever there's emergency in the kingdom, he has the treasure to actually serve all the people. So that is one. And the other meaning of deep and hidden treasure is the king, though he is actually one way having the role of a king and power, internally he has all these qualities. And finally, in essence, the devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So his deep and hidden treasure in that way is his internal qualities, his internal spiritual growth, and finally his devotion to the Lord. So both ways we can actually consider. But I think in first canto we can see when it talks of qualities of Parikshit Maharaj, I think there's a similar reference. Right? Okay, 52, 54.
Thank you, Guruji.
Nayadharatam asthaya Jaitram Maniganarpitam Vishpurjachandako Dando Ratena Trasayan Agan Swasainya Charanakshunam Vepayan Mandalam Bhuvaha Vikarshan Brihatim Senam Paryatasyam Shumaniva Tadaiva Setava Sarve Varnashrama Nibaddanaha Bhagavad Rachita Rajan Vidyeran Bhattadasyubihi.
Hare Krishna translation. If you did not mount your victorious jeweled chariot, whose mere presence threatens culprits, if you did not produce fierce sounds by the clanging of your bow, and if you did not roam about the world like the brilliant sun, leading a huge army whose trampling feet caused the globe of the earth to tremble. Then all the moral laws governing the Varnas and Ashramas created by the Lord himself would be broken by the rogues and rascals.
Hmm. So here it is yada tada. We see shlokas like this. Yada tada. So if you do not do this, then this would actually happen. So what are the three yadas here? So if the first thing he actually says, Ratham astaya jaitra mani gana arpitam. If you do not mount your chariot, which is actually bedecked with all these jewels, first thing. Second thing, Vispurat Chanda Kondaha. If you do not take your bow and twang it, when you pull the bow, there's this twang sound, right? Twang the bow, then that fearful sound, if you do not do it, okay, so let's see. So when you do it, what happens? Then there's a fearful sound by which all the criminals are actually fearful, right? So if the king is actually with his chariot traveling everywhere, and everywhere he goes, he shows my bow and he twangs it, all the criminals are going to be away, right? People will be like scared. Oh, the king is here. He's so powerful. I won't commit a sin. Right? Further, Rathena Trayasan Aghan Swasanya. So he says, by your chariot, right? Threatening all the culprits. So when they see the chariot, then all the culprits, they're like threatened. Oh, and then Charana Shunam Vepayan. And with this chariot, what happens? He's traveling with his chariot and the earth trembles by the traveling of his chariot. Right? See, imagine like this. If you're driving on a highway and immediately you see on the side a cop car standing, what happens? You see at the distance, everyone hits the brake. If it is 65, it'll come down to 64 miles per hour and everyone will be within speed limit, right? So similarly, the point is, the king is everywhere, he's traveling everywhere, then everyone will follow the law. No one will actually break the law. Culprits will not find any space, right? Tada, so then all these yadas, and then tada, he says, then setavaha, all the religious school, all, and then sarve varna ashrama. When the king is doing all this, then people will follow all the religious codes of the Varna and the Ashrama, right? Which is actually Bhagavad Rachitaha. So Prabhupada comments on this word. Bhagavad Rachitaha means what? These Varnas and Ashramas are actually created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is the Bhagavad Gita verse. Chaturvarna Maya system. I have created this, right? So, because the king is actually traveling all around, he has his chariot, he has his bow, his chariot traveling, trembling the earth, the sign of his power of his army, his own power. Then, because of all this, then all the Varna and Ashramas, which are actually created by the Lord, people follow all these rules and regulations. And it ends with Biryan Bata Dasyubhe. And those who are rogues and rascals, they are actually destroyed. Right? Right. Okay. So that's the point. This is how he glorifies the king. Right? So Prabhupada in the purpose says the duty of the king to protect the Varna and the Ashrama. Now it is degraded into a caste system. Right? Now, as soon as you talk of Varna and Ashrama, people say, oh, caste system. That we don't accept. That is not Hinduism. People actually deny the Varna and Ashrama, but actually these are created by the Lord himself, right? So Prabhupada focuses on the Bhagavad Rachita. These are created by the Lord. So they will continue to exist. Even if someone denies it, there will still be certain class of people who will be administrative, certain class of people who will be more philosophical, certain class of people more business-minded, and certain more into the mood of serving others. That class is always going to be there. You accept it or not accept it. Either if you accept it and go back to the original, society will flourish. If you don't accept it, it is still going to be there, but it's going to be in a degraded form. Right? So regulated for cooperation among communities according to. So if all the four Varnas are working properly with cooperation between the Varnas, then there will be peace in the society and everyone will have an opportunity for spiritual advancement. Varnashram provides the best system for everyone to progress in their spiritual journey, and hence the importance of Varnashram. 55.
Adharmascha samedheta loluparvyankushayarnribihi shayane tvailoko yam dasyudgrasto vinangshati. If you gave up all thought of the world's situation, unrighteousness would flourish, for men would hanker only after money, would be unopposed. Such miscreants would attack, and the world would perish.
So further he's glorifying, he's saying, Adharma samadeta. So adharma will flourish everywhere, right? Lolupihi. What is adharma signified by? People are simply hankering for money. And Vyankushahi, uncontrolled, right? They are just like, whatever, right or wrong, I don't care. I want by hook or crook, I want $1 million in my bank account, right? That is kind of the mentality of people. And that's how adharma is so flourishing, right? And then further I said, Shayane Tvai, when you lie down for rest, lokaha ayam, these miscreants attack, right? So basically the point is made when the king actually, if he's not like you, and if he just sits in his palace and does not do anything, then adharma is going to flourish. Uncontrolled men are going to take over. Right? So that's the point. If you gave up all thought of the world situation, unrighteousness would actually flourish, and the miscreants would actually attack, and the world would perish. So what is Kardamuni's mood here? He's actually saying, Swayambhu Manu, you are traveling everywhere is actually the cause of why there is dharma established everywhere. Varna and ashrama system is going on all well just because of your traveling everywhere. So all glories to you. You are a representative of Vishnu. All glories to you. You assume the form of the sun, moon. All glories to you. In that way, he's glorifying the king. Yeah. So Prabhupada in his purport, again, he talks of importance of varnashram, and he actually makes a very interesting point. He says, like in our society, don't we have doctors, engineers, IT people? Right? Now, do any of these professions take up their profession without training? No, right? I mean, no one can become an engineer or a doctor without training. Similarly, for this varna and ashrama, there has to be training. It's not that, oh, you're born in Brahmin family, hence you're a Brahmana. I mean, how does that make sense? Unless you're trained as a Brahmana, there is no, meaning of the word Brahmana. So as any profession needs training, these 4 varnas and ashramas, one should actually be trained in these varnas and ashramas. Then there is a possibility of the varna system being established. Okay. Then Prabhupada concludes by saying, when there's no training, if they simply claim that, oh, I'm a Brahmana, I am a Kshatriya, but act as a Shudra, then the whole society is, the miscreants would actually flourish and the world would actually perish. Right? Therefore, you are there, such a strong king, and hence by the vigilance of a strong king, everything is working perfectly. Right? This is another story in the 4th canto of Bhagavatam, where it actually talks about this Anga and Vena. Right? I think you know about the story. Like Anga was actually a very nice king, but his son was a rascal. Right? Vena was a rascal. But the ministers, okay, when Anga left, right? Anga just left, and the ministers were like, no king. They said, even though he's a bad king is better than a good king. Because when the king is there, then people will be scared. Oh, king is there, then I will not commit any wrong. But actually, opposite thing happens. But that is later on. But the point there, the Brahmanas, they discuss, when they are discussing, they are making the point, the position of a king, that should be someone. Otherwise, all the varnashram system will be destroyed. Okay, 56. Last verse.
Tathapi prechitvam vira yad artam tvam ihagataha tadvayam nirvalikena pratipadyamahe rida.
Hare Krishna. In spite of all this, I ask you, O valiant king, the purpose for which you have come here, whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation. Hare Krishna.
Right? So what is Kardamuni actually saying? He's saying, Athapi, O Veera, O vigilant king, Athapi, in spite of this, in spite of what? That I know why you're traveling everywhere. You're traveling everywhere to make sure that people are following Varna and Ashrama. There is no culprits. In spite of that, I am asking you. Yet artham tvam iha agata. I ask the purpose, you have come here. And then without reservation, vayam ve nirvya likena. Nirvya likena means without any reservation. Tell me what you want and pratipadya mahe. We shall carry out Rida with heart and soul. So in spite of he knows what Krishna has actually given him, that the king will come, he'll give his data. What does this actually show? This shows the culture. This shows the, the glory of a Brahmana, the etiquette. It's not saying that, okay, where is your daughter? Okay, Krishna told me that your daughter is going to come. Let's get. No, I mean, it's like so subtle. Like first he glorified, the king actually worshipped him, then he glorified, then Kardamuni is glorifying the king in such a nice way. And then he's saying, whatever you want, there must be a purpose you have come here. Please tell me, I will do it to my heart's content. We see so much beauty in Vedic culture, in conversations. Right? Now, it is all like so blunt. Everything is so blunt. Like we come and say, okay, what do you want? Like, oh, you want this, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like so, that the subtlety of Vedic culture, we don't see that. But here in Bhagavatam is showing us, how to actually talk, how to actually do, have that mood of etiquette, right? Okay. So Prabhupada in this talks about this mutual beneficial relationship, the relationship between the king and the Brahmana. He quotes a verse. It is actually called Shatram Dijatvam Cha Parasparam. Right? So Prabhupada just goes the first two words, Shatram Dijatvam, but it actually goes Shatram Dijatvam Cha Parasparam. What does this mean? Paraspara means mutually the Shatra, the king, and the Dvija, they support each other. Right? So how does the Brahmana support the king? How does the Brahmana protect the king? By actually giving Vedic wisdom. By actually telling this is the right thing to do. This is what is dharma. And when the Brahmanas speak this, then the king actually knows, okay, this is dharma, beyond this is adharma. This is what I'm going to do. That way the king is protected. And then how does the king protect the Brahmana? By actually really protecting all the Varna and Ashrama. And if there is any harm to the Brahmanas, if anyone destroying Brahmanic culture, the king will stand up, he'll take his bow, arrow, and destroy the culprits. So both of them are actually protecting each other, right? Hence that word parasparam is actually, there's mutual benefit or mutual service between, or mutual relationship between the kings and the Brahmanas, which is very nicely shown in this by Kardamuni glorifying the king in such a way. Okay. So, everyone okay? This chapter? Okay. Let's continue. We'll see what Swayambhuva Manu says. So first 7 shlokas, text 1. Chapter 22, title, The Marriage of Kardamuni and Devahuti. I mean, it's exciting, right? I mean, like the whole movie industry is based on like romance and marriage and all this. But you want to have that rasa? Turn to the Bhagavatam. The emperor, the daughter of the emperor of the world has come to marry, and who? A sage who's meditated for 10,000 years. Imagine that union. Both of them are actually very qualified. And then how will they get married? And if you want to know details of marriage life, we'll read that further also in Bhagavatam. How they actually live after marriage and so on. Okay. So let's see how Swayambhuva Manu, he speaks in response to Kardamuni actually saying, I want to know why you have come. Whatever you say, I will do it to my heart's content. I will actually follow. Right. Okay. So first is Maitreya speaking, and then Swayambhuva Manu speaks from verse 2.
Maitreya uvacha evam avishkritasesha guna karmodayo munim savrida ivatam samrad uparatam uvachaha. Vijay Radhika.
Hare Krishna. There, 1 second.
Text 1, Mataji, next chapter.
Oh, Sri Maitreya said, after describing the greatness of the emperor's manifold qualities and activities, the sage became silent, and the emperor, feeling modestly, addressed him as follows. Hare Krishna.
Right. So he had evam, thus aviskrita. So Kardamuni had aviskrita means described ashesha guna and karma. Right. He had actually talked of the udaya. Udaya means the greatness of the qualities and activities of the king. Greatness of qualities. So Kardamuni had nicely described that. After that, Munim uparitam. He actually became silent. Uparitam, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also translates as that sage who was actually detached from everything. In the sense that now he's come, he's asked Swayambhu Manu, what do you want? Your purpose of coming here. Now even Swayambhu Manu, if he decides to say, okay, I just came to take your darshan. Okay, I had your darshan, now I'm going. The sage was completely detached. That was the glory of Kardamuni. But he knew that Lord had made all the arrangement that's going to happen, but he was completely there. And then Samrat, how was Swayambhu Manu, the emperor, actually feeling? Was he feeling that, oh, he's glorifying me, I am so great? No, no. He was actually embarrassed. So in this sage, he's performed austerity for 10,000 years and he's glorifying me, you know. So he felt very embarrassed. He was feeling very modest, hearing his own glories. And he himself was a devotee of the Lord. So devotee of the Lord, whenever praises come to him, he's embarrassed. Oh, no, no, it's not me, it's not me. Right? So that way Swayambhu Manu was feeling embarrassed. Okay, text 2.
Manuruvacha Brahmsarjit Srijat Swamukato Yushman Atma Paripsaya Chando Mayostapo Vidya Yoga Yuktan Alampatan. Vrindavan Vilasan.
Manu replied, to expand himself in Vedic knowledge, Lord Brahma, the personified Veda, from his face created you, the Brahmanas, who are full of austerity, knowledge, and mystic power, and are averse to sense gratification.
So here we say Manur Uvacha, so Swayambhu Manu is speaking. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually making this point that he's saying that he knows that he wants his daughter to get married to Kardamuni. So he's going to speak next few verses just to glorify Kardamuni Prabhu. Kardamuni, to actually make the point that do not refuse this match. You know. So that way his mood, so Swayambhu Manu's internal mood is glorifying Kardama in a way that he will actually say, okay, I will accept your daughter. Right? So here it says, Manurvacha, Brahma Asrajit, right? Chandamaya. So from where are the Brahmanas created by? From which part of the Virat Purusha are Brahmanas created by? The mouth. Right? Then Kshatriyas are created by? From? The
Legs,
arms.
arms.
Okay. And then Vaishyas from belly and Shudras from leg. So now he's saying Swa Mukhata. Mukhata means face. So you Brahmanas are actually created from the face of that Virat Purusha. Right? And then Chandamaya. Who is Chandamaya? Brahma himself, who is Veda personified. The one who is actually personification of Vedas has created Brahmanas from the mouth. That means what? The duty of the Brahmanas is to actually speak the Vedas. If the Vedas personified has someone representing the mouth, that person's duty is to speak the Vedas. Hence, you Brahmanas are actually, your duty is to speak the Vedas. Then Atma Parishraya. That means to expand this Vedic knowledge or to preserve the Vedas, he has actually created you Brahmanas. And you are all Brahmanas are endowed with what? Tapa, Vidya, Yoga. Yukto. Yukto means empowered with. You are full with tapaha, austerity. Vidya, knowledge. Yoga, mystic power. And alampatan. You are averse to sense gratification. This is the quality of a Brahmana. He has austerity, he has knowledge, he has yogic power, and he's against sense gratification. So Prabhupada in the purport, he actually talks about this, that one is this mood of sense gratification, and the other is the spiritual activity. So it's either divine or demoniac. Demoniac, what are they interested in? Just satisfying the senses. But divine personalities are those who are interested in speaking the Vedas to satisfy the Supreme Personality of God, to glorify that Supreme Personality of God. Right? So if you see in 2:137, right, second canto, first chapter, text 37, where we read, Brahmanam Shatra Bhujop Mahatma. So Brahmanas are coming from the face of the Virat Purusha. Okay, text 3.
Tatranaya srijachchashman do sahasrat sahasrapat hridayam tasya hi brahma kshatramangam prachakshate.
For the protection of the Brahmanas, the 1,000-legged Supreme Being created us, the Kshatriyas, from his 1,000 arms. Hence the Brahmanas are said to be his heart and the Kshatriyas his arms.
Again, he's talking about this relationship between the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. And he's saying that you Brahmanas are the main, because you are the mouth, you speak Vedic knowledge. And why are we created? We are created to actually protect the Brahmanas. Right? We are created to protect the Brahmanas. And we are created from 1,000 arms of the Supreme Personality of God, that Virat Purusha. Hence it is said that Brahmanas are the heart and Kshatriyas are the arm. Right? Now, if someone comes, takes a knife, right, and then comes and tries to hit on your chest at the heart, what happens? Immediately the arms come and like stop, right? If someone is just bringing something to attack your heart, immediately the arms come and they say, stop, protect the heart, right? So similarly, the Kshatriyas are the arms and the Brahmanas are the heart. So if anyone does anything to the heart, the immediate response of the arms is to protect the heart. So similarly, the Kshatriya's mood is always anything for the Brahmana, they'll come and they say, okay, Brahmanas needs to be protected. So hence, Brahmanas are actually compared to the heart here, and Kshatriyas are compared to the arms. So Kshatriyas are meant to give protection to the Brahmanas. Prabhupada says in the purport, the Brahmanas are the head of the civilization of the social body. So the head should always be protected, right? And then Prabhupada also quotes, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, right? So Krishna himself, like how do we worship Krishna? That personality who is so dear to Brahmanas, right? Namo Brahmana Devaya. And then after that comes Jagaditaya, right? So Lord protects the Brahmanas and the cows, Go Brahmana Hitayacha, right? And then later on, he protects the Jagaditaya. He gives first preference to the protection of the cows and the Brahmanas, right? Therefore, we read this so many times in the first canto. What is essential for human civilization? Brahminical culture, cow protection. Brahminical culture to give that knowledge, cow protection. That's so important. So Go and Brahmana, these two have to be protected. Then it's the human civilization, and otherwise we are just, Okay. So text 4.
Ato yanyonyam atmanam brahmakshatram cha rakshataha rakshati smaivayo deva sayasad asad atmakaha.
That is why the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas protect each other as well as themselves. And the Lord himself, who is both the cause and effect and is yet immutable, protects them through each other.
Okay. So basically here he's making the point that ataha, therefore, or hence, certainly he, anyon atmanam, each other, right? Anayon atmana means like each, the Brahmanas protect the Kshatriya. How do the Brahmanas protect the Kshatriya? By the strength of austerity. Right? Because they have the knowledge, they perform austerity. And the Kshatriya protects the Brahman by strength of the body. But actually, who is really giving the protection? Rakshataha avyaya devaha. Actually, who is giving the protection? Is the Supreme Personality of God. Why? Because it's the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has created the system that the Brahmanas are protected by the Kshatriyas and the Kshatriyas are protected by the Brahmanas. So if we are following the system, we are actually following the system that is created by the Lord himself. And hence we are following the instructions of the Lord. Right? So here it says, Sat Asat Atmakaha. That Lord who is the form of cause and effect, that immutable Lord, he has actually created the system where we protect each other. Now, why is Swayambhuva Manu actually pointing out this connection so deeply? Just like this, a man wants to get his daughter married to someone else. He'll come and he'll say, oh, we are actually from the same village. We have this connection, right? So similarly, Swayambhuva Manu's mood is that, you, Brahmana, we Kshatriya, we are so close. We are actually created by the Lord just so that we can protect each other. See how such a deep connection? So don't refuse my daughter. The match is there, right? So in that way, that's Swayambhuva Manu's mood, right? And then Prabhupada makes a point in the purport, the entire social system of Varna and Ashrama, and if everyone works cooperatively in the system, it will uplift everyone to the highest platform of spiritual realization, right? So the Varnashram system, why Prabhupada is focusing so much on the Varnashram system? Like how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the conversation with Ramananda Rai, when Ramananda Rai actually said in Madhya, Chaitanya Charitamrita, 8th chapter, text 59, Varna Shrama Charavata Pumsam, Varna Shrama Charavata Purushena Parapuma Vishnur Aradhyate Panta Nanyata Toshakarini. Prabhupada often quotes this verse in his lectures. So what does it say? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by performing the prescribed duties of Varna and Ashram. And then na anyat. Actually, there is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what Ramananda Rai actually tells Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But what does Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Eho bhaya age kaha ara. Tell me more. This is external. But why Prabhupada is stressing so much on Varnashram? Because Varnashram is the best platform for the essence what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. Hence the need for Varnashram. Right? So that's what Prabhupada said. And then he also said that if Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, they are properly established, then remaining society will already fall into place. Right? So, like what was Prabhupada's mood? In ISKCON, what are we creating? We are creating Brahmanical culture. We are creating Brahmana. So we can give knowledge from the Shastra to everyone. Right? Now, if the Kshatriya class is also, like when Prabhupada came to US, he actually thought, at one point he said that we should actually form our own government party, right? Actually have our own political party. Why? Because he said we are giving the knowledge, we are Brahmanas, we are creating. If by chance we can create the Kshatriya class, if both are there, then remaining everything, Varnashram, society will actually fall into place, and then everyone can take a spiritual life. That was the idea. But Prabhupada said this political party is like too involving and there's like so much corruption. And then at one point he said, no, forget it. We'll just focus on the Brahmanical culture. We'll just focus on establishing Brahmana. Okay, text 5. Let's see. Okay, let's just quickly do.
Prabhu, I have a question. Prabhu, here it says who is beyond cause and effect. Lord is beyond. But isn't it that we know that the Lord is not really effective? Like, he is not really, No, the question saying is who is both the cause and effect and is getting. But the point is, isn't he beyond the cause and effect aspect? Why is he mentioned at Sada Sadatmaka?
So he is one way responsible for the cause and the effect, yet he is actually aloof from the entire system. Doesn't Prabhupada make the point in purport?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Where is Prabhupada mentioning? Is it he mentioned in the purport something?
Yeah. So he says, right? He creates Brahmanas for protection of Kshatriya and Kshatriyas for protection of Brahmanas. He remains aloof from all the activities. Therefore, he's called Nirvikar, without activity. He has nothing to do. Right? See, everything is happening by the will of the Lord. The creation. It all starts with a glance. Without that, nothing can happen. The cause is the Lord. And the effect of all the, that entire chart of like Pradhan, Mahatattva, all that is the Lord. So cause is the Lord, effect is the Lord. But is the Lord actually affected by this cause and effect? No, the Lord. This is energies are doing it. Energies are doing everything, but the Lord is actually aloof. Just as energies does everything, the Lord is just enjoying with Srimati Radharani in the groves of Vrindavan. That is the Lord, right? So yes, he is the cause and effect, and that's why we say Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the ultimate cause of all causes. So he is there, but yet he is involved with having Ras Leela with the gopis. That's his mode.
Those who now not even Rasli, I mean that is like
I mean,
but even Mahavishnu is also aloof from the cause and effect.
Mahavishnu is also aloof to like all that.
Vishnu
Reason
is also
I mentioned Ras Leela was because Radhashtami is coming in. That's what I was thinking, that he's just enjoying with Srimati Radharani. Finally, the Lord, he's just the supreme enjoyer. Right?
So does Krishna actually even sometimes remember, like, is he already aware sometimes I mean, I'm talking about Golok Brajendranandan. Is he aware of that he's creating all these things, there's the whole effect that he's the cause of? Does he even is aware of it?
I mean, one of the qualities in Sadashvara Purna is what? Omniscient, all knowledge.
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
suddenly Krishna knows everything, but he chooses not to
Not
think, not to. And Yoga Maya comes and covers, and it's like, it's just I'm just a son of Mother Yashoda. That's what I am, right? Or I'm a puppet in the hand of the gopis. That's what Krishna wants. But he is one way all-knowing. What is hidden from Krishna. But he chooses to, get covered by Yoga Maya. So, okay.
So okay,
Go ahead.
no problem, it's okay.
It's okay at that point. So the Lord is the cause and effect, yet he is actually aloof from everything. Okay. I mean, even, 9.4, 9.5, Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatam idam sarvam, jagat avyakta murtina. If you read those two verses, it is almost they appear contradictory. Right? So I am within everything, yet I am not there. I mean, how is it the Lord is within everything yet? So that's the same point. Lord is involved with everything, yet he's actually aloof from everything. This is the nature of the Lord. Right? And that's why one of the names of the Lord is Achintya. Inconceivable. How is it that the Lord is everywhere and yet he's aloof? That's why he's Achintya. And we have discussed this point in previous Bhagavatam class, that if we say that, oh, I have understood the Lord, then that is our ignorance. We actually glorify the Lord is Achintya. Oh, that's how glorious is the Lord. Hence, he's Achintya. All I can do is to surrender unto him. That's the mode of Patibhati. So we accept that Achintya Shakti of the Lord as the glories of the Lord. Right? Not something that creates doubts in our mind, but that Achintya Shakti is the real glory of the Lord. Okay, I think we'll stop here. I wanted to do 2 more verses, but that's okay. So we'll have to wait until next week when the father gives his daughter in marriage, and then we'll read about the marriage, and then we'll read about their married life, right? And so on. So nectar of attachment and detachment, right? So the series is so nice. Devamrit Swami, I've been hearing, so wonderful. Nectar of attachment and detachment. So now is a series of, initially was detachment, 10,000 year austerity. Now attachment. Then again, detachment. Immediately after marriage, there'll be detachment, because Kardamuni will perform severe austerities. And then again attachment. Right? Then again detachment. So it goes on, this attachment, detachment, and that's why Maharaj talks about the nectar of attachment and detachment. Okay, any final points? We'll stop here.
Yeah, I like the point how you said that how beautiful is our Vedic culture. A king is glorifying the Brahman, and a Brahman is glorifying the king.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, another thing is like Varnashram, ashram, whatever, like Lord created is like perfectly But in nowadays, in Kali Yuga, it's no more.
Yeah. I
Actually,
mean, like Prabhupada's point is the system is still there, but now it is
yes,
corrupted. You cannot deny these four divisions.
yes,
It is there, but now it is corrupted. The only
yes,
thing that we can do is not throw away the system. That's what people
yeah,
tend to do, right?
yes. System is there, but like modification, like some corruption is there in that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main thing now. Anything as there's a flaw, people try to throw away the system rather than correcting the system.
Yeah,
Religion, because of religion, that is fine. Hence, we will become secular. No,
yeah.
that's not the point. Religion, you take out the negative and come back to the original thing.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so stop here. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I have a quick question. Prabhuji, first of all, Krishna is all cognizant, so he must know everything, right?
Mhm.
Right. And the other point is Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, that verse. So who knows the divine nature of Krishna? He only will be he can get out of this material entanglement, right? But at the same time, we are saying that Achintya Veda Veda.
Yeah.
We cannot understand the nature of Krishna. He is inconceivable beyond our material senses. So how do I understand these two, Prabhuji?
So Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. So we have to hear Bhagavatam, right? We have to hear the activities, the birth, the appearance of the Lord, and we hear, right? And based on our hearing, Krishna will reveal those things to us, right? And when we are actually accessing Krishna through the Bhagavatam, through pure devotees, then our bhakti to Krishna is actually increasing. So that point of Achintya will come when we actually progress in bhakti to that point when we actually accept that Achintya as a glory of the Lord. See, initially, if we actually focus on the Achintya, like an initial devotee, then he'll be confused. He's like, what is this? Does not make any sense. Lord is everywhere, yet he's aloof. What is this? Does not make sense. But when we progress in bhakti by hearing Bhagavata, hearing the Janma Karma, the Lord will reveal his glories to us. And an aspect of the glory is the inconceivable nature of the Lord, which we will accept it as an ornament of the Lord. That's why Queen Kunti, in her prayers, exalted devotee, right? She actually says what? The unborn has taken birth now. The unborn has taken birth.
Has taken that.
Yeah. I mean, how does that make sense? Because she's realized the glories to that extent that she can actually glorify that Achintya feature of the Lord. Right?
Oh,
So
awesome,
initially in a spiritual life, we accept, like we try to explain things. That's why in purpose, he will explain. Okay, how do we understand the unborn has taken birth? Yes, he is unborn, there's no question of birth, but he's actually appeared as the son of Devaki and Vasudev to actually show his Leela. In that way, Prabhupada explains this, right? That is because we are in the beginning stage. So we need to understand these. But as we progress, then we'll appreciate that Achintya. Oh, this is the glory of the Lord, right? Does that
Yeah.
help?
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, very beautiful answer. Thank you so much. Yeah, wonderful.
Prabhuji, I was thinking that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, like Bhaktya Mam Avijanati.
Yes.
As we progress in bhakti, then Krishna will reveal himself.
So that revelation includes an aspect of Achintya.
Achintya, yes, Prabhuji. Now I got it. Yeah. Beautiful answer. That's why, initially I was confused. Oh, what is this contradictory thing? But excellent, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. That Achintya nature will be understood by the devotee who realize the divine nature and qualities of Krishna.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll stop here. Thank you all so much. So one thing about your workbook, the thing is, I have to get questions from the devotee in India. I'm waiting for him to send those questions because I cannot create all those questions. So I'm just waiting for that. As soon as I get that, I will actually get you the workbook. So, I'm just waiting for, I had the initial set of questions, but the second set from third canto, 19th chapter, somehow initially I thought I had it, but I cannot find it. So I messaged him. So as soon as he gets me those questions, then I'll get to the workbook as soon as I can. Okay. Okay, thank you all so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So before we end also, not this coming Tuesday, following Tuesday is Bhadra Purnima. So everyone here, we are serving Srimad Bhagavatam. So please, everyone, requesting everyone, take this opportunity, distribute Bhagavatam or sponsor one set of Bhagavatam. Minimum, everyone should do at least one set. Either you distribute, talk to your friends, give one set of Bhagavatam, or sponsor a set, or give a gift to someone. Bhagavatam is like we are trying to dive into the nectar of Bhagavatam. So we should serve Bhagavatam by distributing it. Then we'll get the mercy of Srimad Bhagavatam. So everyone, please consider. And if you like to get more information of how to get involved, how you can do it, then you can always reach out to me. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Yeah.
Prabhuji, like one of the devotee wants Bhagavatam, but it needs to be, he already gave me a check, I will give it to you. But he wants that to be installed in Texas. Is it possible? That's the main question we have.
We can talk offline, Mataji. You can tell me which
Okay.
place in Texas. We can see if some devotees can do
Sure,
it.
sure. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
की जय वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।